does not use the AK and M4 like he does. He's using pistol, obviously the scout mode he plays into with it. Do you think at some point he should just admit that every now and again you might pick up a Galil or an AK?
No. Because he's so annoying with that scout. Like, I've witnessed it. We had to play them like 3 times when they were the best team in the world, of course. Like, when they were all firing on all cylinders. And every second round, we win pistol around the CT, Searson gets a scout, kills one guy through the smoke, kills the other guy with a headshot, and he's like, you're 3v5, what you gonna do? And no, I actually have no problem. Listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which gun he uses. It's like, is he doing his job in the round? Is he helping his team in the round? Yes. So what's the problem? Why does he need to use a Galil or an AK, right? I think in the rounds where he has it, he's not like JDM that he doesn't know how to use a rifle. Throwback to JDM just for no reason, reaming him out. But yeah, I think he's capable with the rifles. He's better with the scout.
Yeah, here's the thing that people forget, Searson wasn't always an AWPer. If you think back to those attack days, he was actually a rifler, right? Like, actually also in that entry role, and then through that coach, who shall not be named.
Just like Simple.
Yeah. he transformed into like an AWPer, right? And then that's where he really made his name on their Sprout, just doing that AWP impact. And I think he definitely has like the capacity to rifle again. It's just like, why would you, like you said, if you're so good with scouts and ops, just like have him use that.
Well, this is the exciting part. It's one we've been waiting for to see what maps we are going to get. So let's check out the veto and see how this has gone down. We see Gambit going for the Ancient pick, Big with the Dust 2, which is no surprise, and an Inferno Decider coming into play.
Well, this is really interesting because Gambit had one of the unique problems, which like, what should we pick? There's all these good maps to pick, and we see the surprise from Big is like actually vetoing out Overpass, the map they said they were really confident on, and leaving Ancient, which was their ban lately, right? And Gambit just doesn't hesitate. They go straight for the punish. Big, no surprise with the Dust 2 pick, and in the end, Gambit vetoes Mirage because both Vertigo and Inferno, Vertigo obviously one of their their best map, most likely, insane win rate this year, and Inferno is again a weaker map for Big. So the only thing I'm wondering is this like a trap card from Big with the Ancient, like leaving it in, expecting Gambit to pick it, and they're just kind of preparing. Even if you don't play a map much, I assume they like kind of tried to play it and they went away from it. It's like you can, for one opponent, for that one game, you can maybe like just get enough done that you can have a surprise pick. So if you're Gambit, it just tells you that they're really confident, even if that comes into play, and they just wanted to call the bluff, really.
Drowlon, no surprises there, really.
No surprises. Unbiased, of course, completely. No, I mean, my rationale here, I think this is the best Big we've seen with this lineup so far. Obviously, we have had like good online results, right? We think of the Blast qualifiers, the Blast fall groups. But when it came down to like actual LAN play, I think what I saw here, is like some of the best CS I've seen from us so far. I think this is our best chance to take on a team like Gambit.
Well, they're going to have to show it. Thank you very much for your thoughts, guys. It's time for us to get into this series. We're starting with Ancient, and it's Gambit's pick. So let's get over with Dwayne and Jay.
Thanks, Banks. Yes, this is going to be a fun one. It could well been a grand final matchup. We almost saw it in the group stage, but both Big and Gambit have managed to avoid each other up until this point, but only one team will go into the top 2 to egg. All eyes on Gambit, most of us, except for Drowlon, predicting into the Gambit side. I do admit that there have been some slow starts from Gambit, which did make me doubt things a little bit, but looking at that veto, I think I'm very confident now that Gambit could take this.
Yeah, eyes on the veto for me. Ancient coming through, I was a little bit surprised about that. I thought we'd probably get an Overpass or a Vertigo pick coming through, and then even as a decider, looking at knowing Inferno's coming through, this looks really promising to come out for the Gambit side.
100%. I just think about how difficult it has been for Ancient for the big camp. Like, they've won more cash than they have Ancient as of late, which really goes to show how difficult this map is for them. And as a result, like, I just look at this pick, I see it's a very big punish pick for the Gambit side. I see them struggling on Dust 2 because we have not seen great Dust 2 from them as of late, especially in this tournament. I feel like this is going to be a Gambit series. They might concede it to third map, but Gambit should have this one pretty nicely wrapped up. And with the pressure on these guys as well off the back of the major, knowing that they are the top 3 team in the world, they have to go to the grand final. There's not even an option for them.
And you have to start looking at some of the numbers. Again, Big have only played 3 maps this event, where Gambit have played 6. Shiro is the highest rated player in this side, and for Big, the highest rated player is Keto at 9th. And he's a guy that's only gone positive 13 with the KD differential, where for Shiro, he's positive 71. The stats just are completely different between the top players on both of these teams.
Yeah, and obviously the AWP battle there's going to be a very big concern. Obviously, NKJ on HLTV last night was discussing how his opinion was that he thought CSN was better on the AWP. And I feel like that might be tested in this particular matchup. We'll get to see how far they can go with it. It's the pistol round before we get into any AWPs, into any rifles. We're big on the T side start, big over to the defensive line. Let's get towards our first map of our first semi-final, what could be a banger. Strap in.
And it all just comes down to the start. We know for Gambit, they've been fantastic with some of these pistol rounds. You have a look at where they sit so far. They're second in the event, 9-1 to 3 loss. They know that they can get off to some good starts.
That's towards elbow on the default for Gambit. Set themselves up pretty nicely in passive positions. Leave one lurker out towards lane, put some utility onto the mid control. Flashes and smokes is appropriate. I believe the smoke towards cross candles and over at the... Ooh, that's actually missed for donut position. Keto going to get gooshed down for it. Quick peek in for Gambit regardless. Finding the advantage.
There's still a lack of information on what's going on with the play. Tabson falling aback with the flash comes through, getting that cheater control fast into the B side. Tabson getting that first point and cool. Needs to try and get a double up, but it doesn't happen.
And now 4 versus 4 with a major HP advantage for Gambit. Axar will find gain and continue tapping, but doesn't land any more kills for his own right. Searson there with a trade, and a 3-on-3 scenario can ensue. Again, the low HP of Keto is going to become a factor, and he leans into Candles, looks ahead, looking for the players coming back over towards window, knows the rotation is inbound, can't quite seem to spot out the kills. He's missing a couple of crucial headshots, so they can get into the A site.
There's just no util or even a kit to work with for this city side, so getting into this defensive is going to be tough. Map control being gained out from that donut position. Difficult retake for Big.
Shero spotted. Keto finally turns the advantage to Gambit for permanent this time. Searson and Tizian waiting for their contact peaks, and they will start to move ahead here at A lane. It's Tizian back towards that donut entrance. And then the back lines of the site itself. Is Inters will be the closest player, though, in it. Temple. Glock turned away from the man. Tizian can trade it once again, but now we'll get sandwiched. Tapping that bomb once, trying to force Shiro out into the open. He takes a ton of damage, but now Hobbit can strike. Get his first. Shiro can double up, and it can be a pistol for Gambit.
Yeah, that was a great mid-round call coming through from Gambit. It seemed as if they took that early defensive into Candles and from Donut. They realized pretty quickly, ooh, the smoke actually didn't land, so we're going to start slowing it down. We're going to get some of the cheater control. We're going to put pressure down towards B. They find that the trades go back and forth. They then bring that bomb back out to the A side. Now, fun fact as well for Gambit, Jay, going into this second round, is that they are first in the event for round 2 conversions. 9-1 and 0 loss. They have never lost a second round when they win pistol.
Talk very heavily about how Gambit had their early start snatched away from them many different times. Whether this will be one of those rounds for Big. Keto headshot, and the second man, Axar, will drop. 5-on-3 being gained. AK straight for Nafadi, can trade it back at least. It's going to be a 2-for-1 for Big, though. They have the control.
And Nafadi's got to try and make a play, and Shiro backs him up onto Searson. Gate overextending. This was a 5-on-3 at one point for Big.
Tabson and Tizian out towards the mid position, forced to rotate back into a flank angle. Hobbit's going to give chase out towards mid. He has spotted one individual. The bomb should get planted whenever Nafani's ready. There's a bit of a gap in that smoke, so he could get spotted out here. Scout leans in. Bomb does go down. Nafani's foot's been seen. Headshot does not come back, though. Shiro can get the trade. And it's Tizian in a 1 versus 3 now.
This backstab's pretty much it for the round. Tizian trying to turn around. Not going to happen at all. Gambit finding their second. I would say disappointing there for Big. Keto has a great sequence on sort of the off angle out from Donut. He's able to get a couple of fantastic banging shots. What happens with the follow-up? You have a 5-on-3 and then... where's everybody else? Where's the support?
Nowhere to be seen. That's a great start and everything for him. You can watch the sequence again. Like you mentioned, the trades are so great for Gambit, and, well, in that 3v2 scenario, there was no way that they were going to get back in. Pistol, straight USPs across the board now for Big. No Kevlar here. Piece of utility for Tabson, but that's it. Max Tenashiro goes straight into us. Donut gets a triple, almost a quadra. Running out of ammo, but the USP can still finish the job. Plenty of money being gained by him, and it's standard anti-eco status 3-0 to the start for Gambit. Big have the guns out in round 4.
I wonder if Shiro is one of these people that looks at that interview that NKJ had and said, you know what, I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to really step up today. Because often when you do say things like that, it could fuel the other person.
It's a case of which way it goes. Will it detriment? Will it improve? Will it bolster up your teammates? Will it bolster up your squad? Or will it go the other way in Gambit? Well, light a fire underneath them. We'll have to find out as time does go on. Right now, the start has been to the favor of the Russian camp. 3-0 at this moment, and the buy should be received by Gambit in the next round. Did we see a DC from their side of the field? So I think there might be a small tech pause involved here. Get that fixed up very quickly. Been very efficient with these tech pauses, so it shouldn't take too much longer. Yeah, standard start for Gambit, and it's so great because Drowler mentioned that stat earlier about Gambit's second round conversions in the pistols. It's nice to see them convert that second and get the anti-eco as well.
Yeah, and for Gambit, just trying to work with what they've got so far. For Big, we know that they recently played that DreamHack Open November event. Gade was #1 for most clutches, won at 8. We also saw Sirison coming through with the most AWP kills per round, so definitely a couple of individuals to watch out for. Gade, this event, hasn't quite found that top level so far. He's ranked 27th out of the highest rating out of the 40 players we have.
Indeed. Right now, ranking of 8 to the board of one particular individual on the Gambit side. He's definitely stepped up, surpassing all of his teammates and everything. Things do look pretty fantastic, in spite of the lopsidedness from Shiro. The guns out from Gambit. Respond to the guns of Big. Mostly bonus weapons for the T side, with the damage, of course, being reinvested into. They have the AWP out for both teams, Keto and Shiro here, interestingly enough. Double AWP setup, in fact, for the Big camp. Keto's going to be the man that aggresses.
Yeah, I see a lot of AWPing when it comes to the secondary players down towards this A anchor roll. Keto going very aggressive. Axel peeking through. Keto missing. Needs to try and get back to safety. Oh, it's not going to happen at all. Just getting hunted down. You can't afford to miss shots like that when you go aggro.
And that might already be the A side taking Tidsy and the last player standing in this siege, and all sorts of util thrown back by Gambit. Flashes will keep him blind and allow that kill to come in easy for Nafani. Already Big calling the save. Hobbit's hearing the footsteps back towards the B side. It's going to be a 4th round for Gambit, and Big are struggling in this early game.
Yeah, often when you're going aggressive out towards A main, you're trying to make an info play. You're trying to get a 1-for-1. You can buy time with some of the rotations, try and stay alive. And as soon as we see that missed shot, just look at how quickly Gambit accelerate through. They're able to then get that trade out, or at least that entry frag to the donut player, really being able to open up that bomb site, even looking hunting, trying to take more weapons out of play, really crunch down and destroy this economy. Gambit, they're looking feisty.
And Big setup relied entirely on Keto getting that opening frag and retreating back into the A site with the AWP intact. The fact that he missed out on that first shot and got killed and traded, not a good start for Big in the gun rounds here. We will see most of the rifles staying in for Gambit. I think they lost a Galil in this one, so nothing major being conceded at this. Try hunt for that last individual. Gade, no, not too far forward for them. Yeah, Big, lost bonus. A little bit scuffed here. I think they might be on for a force buy, though.
Yeah, they can buy it down. Gade can drop a rifle. Sirison can do the same. You're able to get one of those individuals to force buy up themselves. And for Big, they had, you could say, the quicker time getting into the semi-finals. They played that best of 1 against a Subaru on Mirage, 16-10 there. They got a 2-0 over Fiend in that upper bracket final game. One of those maps, of Mirage, was relatively close. Dust 2, it felt like they were quite confident even when they came back from a deficit. Where for Gambit, they've had to play Fiend. They lost that game in the upset, beat a Suba and beat Enterprise in the BO3s.
I'm going to work real hard for the Gambit side. I mean, it's kind of surprising. You would have thought that Gambit would have had the easy road in this tournament. Just indicative of how those best of 1s went down. Of course, so many upsets during that stage of the tournament.
Well, realistically, I think we looked at it and thought this is going to be the game that meets in the upper bracket final.
Yeah,
for the group.
100%. The best of 5, Gambit and Big, were not a surprise to you. Flashes in from Hobbit, that elbow position. Nades out from him as well as the finally swings out to the A site. And there won't be a force buy from Big. They're going to go half-seas in this round with the upgrade pistols, so seeing what the rifles can do. Keto's already been tagged up heavily. Searson, however, does catch the first track and that second, engaging against the AWP battle. And there you go, NKJ vindicated for a moment. Heard Axel coming in for the bomb plant, has not spotted his man, can't go for the wall back. Tizian's the Eagle pushes forward, and Hobbit gets caught off for it. 2 players standing, no trades for Gambit. Finally, Nafani comes up with 1, but it will be a 1 out of 5 that he needs to find. Incendiaries to force him even further out into the open. There is damage done to the AWP here. And pistols and the Mac start moving in. AK picks up Tizzy and just domes him in straight in the head. Triple up for Searson in this round. And the first round goes the way of Big.
Yeah, that was actually very well played in from Big. Now, notice as well, they didn't even force buy there. They just upgraded some slight pistols around the weapons that got saved in. Gade's M4A1S wasn't even able to find impact. It was actually Searson with the AWP playing incredibly passive. Now, that corner really of getting the rotation in from City Spawn into the A site was not smoked off. And because of that, that sideline was just being held. The way that he repeats back into the AWP onto Shiro, finds a multi-frag, and then the pistols just support him.
Double AWPs can return right back for the Big side. Searson's AWP definitely is justified in this case. I am worried about where Keto plays his one, though. He's only seen him in a very limited capacity on the rounds. See where he goes with that, or whether he tries to progress once again towards the A side. He is placed out towards A main, but much more passively on the side defensive itself. The majority of T-Press leans in from B duels and B lane. Well, the CT is playing pretty passive. You don't want to peek to this angle.
Yeah, definitely Keto won't be aggressive every round. You normally see more aggression out to sort of that lane area for the B players rather than A. You want to play quite defensive, quite passive in around the big box or that temple area. Gambit, one of the first times we're actually seeing some presence early round going out to the B side.
And nades up, Nafani starts walking with the AK. Leading that charge up towards the red room. What's this? And AWP set to the edge of the scaffolding. NK will try and extend further forward. Will he catch off the man? Nice boost up for Nafani. Will look over. Recognize that no one's on that left side of the cheater position. As Hobbit wins that first fight on Tizian. Nice dry face, good kill.
Now they're going to be able to bait Sirison quite aggressive with this AWP. This could work out nicely for Nafani. All comes down to how aggressive that AWP is. And now even look at Hobbit. He's getting deep CT control.
Yeah, they recognize that there's probably a backstab in, so Searson's going to cover that off instead. They'll concede most of cave control. They'll leave Tabson peeking in on occasion. You'll see the flashbangs coming in from his opposition. Nafani walks out middle. Gonna get towards Donut here. There's no one contesting that angle. It's so passive and big.
They want to put emphasis on A and get Hobbit to deal with the rotates down from that B side. Keto's alone. He's the only player here.
Gotta step up like the AWP should do. Frag on the first, drops that bomb, sees one man back in Donut as well. Keto with a double, leans in for the triple, catches Axel in the shoulder, and that's more than enough. Hobbit overwhelmed by Searson, leaves Sheeran out his own 1v4 clutch. Tabson able to deal with him before he gets any more trades. That's a confident second for Big as well.
And when you walk out of A main like that, it's going to be difficult to put pressure onto the AWP. You need to get that trade in immediately rather than going in with the util. They actually go in dry, and they just can't trade him. It seems as if Nafani's read that position. He's trying to hug the wall out from Donut, give himself an angle to try and work with on that right-hand side. And Keto still finds the connection, even with that third pick coming through onto Axel. The AWP is putting up some good sequences for Big.
He might have whiffed it in the aggression in that first gun round, but here they stand confident and strong. Gambit taking a bit of a tactical pause as well, a bit of a moment to respite. Where do they go with this? Obviously, a lot of work will need to be done here from them. They have still got the lead, at least. They have that silver lining.
Yeah, Keto's currently ranked 5th in the event for percentage of multi-kill rounds. So something that we can expect from him, definitely playing A anchor on Ancient, is just being able to get those multi-frags, get those man advantage forwards before he falls.
If he keeps hitting those AWP shots, then it's going to be a difficult task for Gambit to find him. Get into our 7th round of the game. Both sides with guns out. Inters with a Deagle, because there might be some major problems in terms of firepower, but then again, the Deagles have been pretty impressive so far in this matchup. Will Inters add more of those plays to the list? It's blind fire from Tabson and Cheetah. Nades up towards lane. Dishing out a tiny amount of damage to Hobbit in the early part of this one by Big, but Gambit play out their defaults without a casualty here. They might look to take that first frag instead.
Yeah, that HE doesn't quite land where he would have wanted it to be. Spam coming through, boost up over the top. He's got to be aware of it because Nafani just catches him off.
Yeah, they didn't see the boost the first time they used it for Gambit, so they know they can use it a second time, and Tabson is indeed just shut out off guard. Opening start here for the T's, and now the AWP starts leaning in to try to find its own moment of glory. Shiro in the back lane, seeing nothing of the CT forces, though. Again, they're passive, but also they're not. Aggression from the from Tizian here. He's going to try to catch Hobbit off guard. This could cut off the whole rotation. It's an easy frag. It's a man advantage.
Yeah, Hobbit was actually holding that angle for a very long period of time. Just got caught off by the timing. Tizian making the aggressive move. Getting the same. Not quite that second.
Nice transfer. There's damage to Shiro, though. The AWP misses shot. The Deagle's going to fire back instead. And Shiro will find the trade. The trades have been pretty respectable here by Gambit. They've actually forced Tizian to be the only player left. A 1v2 for this retake. B has been overwhelmed. And Shiro is missing his shot. Still, the M4 can't catch the frag. And Axel bails out his teammate. Puts that 5th on the board. Gambit back on track.
You can't blame Tizian in that round at all, Jay. He's the one that's aggressing down from elbow. He catches the lurk off from the A main area of Hobbit. He's trying to be that backstab supporting player. He needs his teammates on that A site to hold, to get the trades, to allow that backstab in from T-Spawn, get back in from lane, whatever it may be, and instead they just crumble. He has to then try and step up in that 1v2, and for Gambit, even though the AWP misses the shot, Axel is there for the trade instantly to peek on the contact.
Rebuy from Big will feature the exact same setup as they have done time and time again. They love these double AWPs, and they have been pretty effective to their credit. Look at that, a little bit better to try and usurp Gambit in the lead. 3 rounds to get there. Galil's on Inters again is a limiting factor here. He's been the limiting man here for Gambit so far in this matchup. He's always taken the Deagles or the Galil, or just not quite the AKs and AWPs you want to see from a T side. It is working to his teammates' benefit, though, and overall to the team, they still hold the 3-round lead.
While I do love the double AWP setup, I know that Fiend that comes up in the next game is definitely going to be able to show that in their best of 3. The economy situation has to be a talking point if they're not following rounds up, because their economy could just get rolled over. Gambit trying to put some force down into this cheater angle, doing a pretty good job with flashing Sirison off, just baiting him with the AWP and getting that idea of where he's playing from.
Further flashes in, he still holds his position. Finally fall back out. Well, he's trying to indicate that he is. Draw a second player indoors instead. Doesn't matter to the Gambit side. They've escaped out the lane position, gone through window out towards Donut. Tizian struggles with his frag, but comes up against Stefani. Hobbit's also been tagged to 19, so it's a start out with an advantage for Big. They're also tagged pretty heavily, though. There's 2 trades on Keto and Tizian available.
Yeah, slight bait and switch with that dual setup coming through from the Donut area. Tizian needs to find another. It could be difficult with him being so low.
Leans in. Shiro will catch the frag instead with a blind fire from Nakilil's part. AWP of Keto. Desperate to hold on to the man advantage, but he can't do it. Axel pushed out of main, chimes in on him, doubles up to Gade. And now it's a 4v2 for Gambit's part. The CT's extended so far out towards lane and CT, but siphoned off from each other so far away from the retake. Searson's going down, and Tabson has no choice but to save.
Axel's looking fantastic so far here on Ancient. He's been one of those entities that has been fantastic over the course of the history for Gambit. In this event, maybe not so much, and even this hunt in from Hobbit, it should be an easy pick to come through into Tabson, a 6th round being gained, and then we start looking at the economy again and say, okay, things look alright for Sirison, Tabson and Gade are looking decent. For Tizian and Keto, things can't really be said the same.
6th up to the board of the Gambit side. Axon in particular was looking great in this round. He was the man that pretty much opened up the site and got the round together for his team. Triple overall. Yeah, definitely deserve the credit for that 3rd frag. Extending that lead to 4 rounds now for the Russian side. Big. They found a bit of a formula to work with in their first couple of rounds that they got. Try and find a new one or replicate that to better success as tactical pause is taken. Moment to readjust. You mentioned the economy game and how that double AWP setup is going to continue to deficit the Big side. I don't think they can afford it again.
No, and they've got to try and see if they can quiet down some of these players. Axel, in that last round, really showing up what he can do with that lurk out from A main. Currently 5th in the event for most headshots per round at 0.37. His crosshair placement is something special.
Straight in with the buys back again. No double AWP setup for Big. Got an SMG for Tizian as he becomes the limiting element. Rifles up, smokes in. Inter's going to challenge Tabson. He's gone for those wallbangs pretty consistently. Nades on elbow. Not doing any damage at all. Shiro comes up good against Keto. Kicks things off on the right foot.
He's winning a lot of opening man advantages for this T side. Going to try and see if they can boost up again. I don't know if they'll be able to reward themselves twice.
Farney should be at least suspected by Tizian. He already fell towards him once so far. Continuous boost over. Continuing walking out to try and look for the individual himself. But no contact given up by the SMG. Molotov will come in instead. It goes off to the right. He's still sitting on the left-hand side. And they start to back away.
Oh, Tabson's actually trying to draw the bait, so he actually puts his feet in the molly to draw the attention over for Nafani.
This could be perfect. It all comes down to whether Tizian finds the pick. He's waiting so patiently. Nafani, another bit of utility. A flashbang thrown over. He turns around, but way too late. Tizian comes up with a pick, smokes down the angle. Evens again as the executor's inbound.
Oh, what a perfect bait in from Big, and now they're just trying to see if they can evade the flashes. Tabson out on the right lane, at least gets away with one.
Justified a passivness from the Big setup. A man advantage sits towards their favour. Bomb could go down unless the wall banks turn around. Axel even taps on the second man. Didn't hear the tag though. Tabson swings on the side, gets his frag, turns around 180. Searson catches that next. And it's Shiro now with his own AWP in a 1 versus 1. The AWPers taking each other on 17 seconds. Shiro's got to get the bomb plant. He's tapped it once again, looking at information gain. Scopes heard. Tap it a second time, stick it, Searson. So close! Oh, Shiro! No scope to his head, a triple up for the clutch, and Gambit continue the streak.
Oh, he's making a statement here, isn't he? 14 kills and 2 deaths. Shiro, he's doing everything. Opening man advantages, trade situations, clutches coming through. That now puts him up to 11 clutches won in this event, and this is only their 7th map. The nearest player behind him in most clutches won is Oscar at 3. Shiro's got 11 this event.
14 frags in this game as well. Man, he's come alive. And Big are continuing to struggle here. Pistols now out, half buy in this round. Deagles, 5.7s, P250s. Kevlar on the body, not towards the head. Straight into the B site. They've already found the entries. They could put the bomb down from here.
Trying to see if they can bait in an over-rotation down to that A main position. Keto extended up. There is still that one individual of Axile that's waiting for that aggressive move. Shiro with the AWP pushing through the smoke. Picks being found relatively easy. There is at least one drop that comes in the P250. And knowing it's an eco, you're just trying to do as much damage in as possible. Not a lot, though.
Doesn't matter too much for the T side, however. Nafani has the Mac 10, so you're going to swap back to that AWP. Tizian will drop Axile, so they get an AK out of this one. If Tizian can just save the weapon, that would be enough, I think, for Big in this context. It does mean that Gambit are going to get to 8 on their T side. And we do know that CT basis is quite high for this map. We saw during the online cup, for instance, how CT-sided Ancient was. So for Gambit to win the half at this stage, it's not a good outlook for Big.
No, not at all. I don't even think we finished the cup. We were getting halfway through and it was something 65% to that CT side. So knowing where we sit now in the actual LAN event, that it's only a couple of rounds, things don't look that promising coming through from Big. They've got to try and get some of these players up. Gade, 1-1-7. We've got to see some more from him.
And again, the AWPA comparison sees Shiro going a country mile above Searson's part. I think it's double up on his kill count with the clutch factors involved as well. Gambit just hold their own. Out towards the defaults, mostly centered around the A site. They've got Keto, that might be the man to step up. Searson's orbs pressed aggressive towards window. You might catch Inters off guard. Oh, he turned away, but the AK doesn't lean in.
It all just comes down to a matter of timing and who's going to peek first. Searson trying to turn away from the flash. Inter's now getting some util in for the support. Searson down from the elbow, misses his chance.
Got info on 2 players, though. The T's could potentially sandwich in against them. Keto finds action on the A defensive. Meanwhile, Nafani there for that trade and continues to wrap into Donut. Searson has repositioned to try and hold this defensive. Tabson will catch Inters meanwhile, so there are trades that are coming in for Big. They've maintained the advantage. Nafaani's going to fight for it back, so gets that first. Shiro gets that second, and the bomb goes down.
Oh, the trading game is so on point here for Gambit. The way that they use their util down to that donut position and even check all angles just in case there's a dual setup. Gambit up to 9. This T side is red hot.
Big might bring in a lot of trouble here. Bang on the money with that analogy. Red hot T side, 9 to the board of Gambit. And you start questioning what Big can really do. Is this first map already a write-off?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Big have definitely got more to prove. The problem here with Ancient is Big just do not have a lot of map experience on it. They've only played it once when it comes to the last 3 months. It was typically one of the maps they banned, either that or an Inferno as a recent history. And knowing that they weren't able to win that official either on Ancient puts them at a 0% win rate. Definitely a punish pick in from Gambit. Again, when you have a look at the veto, you thought to yourself, okay, Overpass could get picked in, Vertigo's an option. They go in for Ancient, just knowing the Big don't play this map.
It's not like it's like a particularly proficient map for the likes of Gambit either. Like,
they've only played it 4 times.
Yeah, they've only played it 4 times, and they managed to beat teams like Team 1 and Indie Array. When it comes to top level competition, they've lost to the likes of NIP, even lost to Copenhagen Flames in the past. So the map is not like it's a brilliant one for Gambit. It is legitimately a punish pick, and they are punishing hard right now. Big back on pistols for the players that fell. And the AWPA Shiro doesn't see the infos who the individuals. Gade and Tabson will start their walk out. Spotted, shot connects so easily. Gade can find a trade at least. Second one up for him. They're bottlenecking themselves in towards the doorway, and he actually does get that secondary frag. Hobbit's hoping he overextends, but Tizian is so close to position. Smokes up, Deagle fights, Hobbit finally gets his trade. A 3-on-3 once again. They know that Gade's pinned in a corner here. They can't seem to find him. Hobbit caught off by Searson's pistol, and now the advantage swings to Big.
Gade just pulling all the distraction away. Hobbit not really finding a lot of success there. Only 1 pick, and now it comes down to Shiro and Axel to see what they can do. At least for them, it is 2 star players to bring this 2v3 back. Big don't have a lot of information on where this rotation's coming in from. They do have Gade aggressive in from mid, so there could be a contact in elbow if Gambit want to take back this mid position.
Gade set looking into that angle. They will start walking up to it. On play on the defensive of the A site itself is Keto. Turned away at the wrong moment. Perfect swing from Shiro. Crosshair placement on point. Ready exactly where he was going to be. Keto now stands alone on the A defensive. Backup is nowhere near arriving. He's got to land his first headshot and he just can't seem to do it. 9 HP for the man. 1 down upon by both sides. And Axel will get the plant in Searson. 1v2.
I don't think there's any point going for this, Jay. He doesn't have any armor. 1v2 situation. It's risky to even throw the AK away, trying to risk it.
You're all leaning initially. No kit. No time. Really back turn at the wrong moment. Axile will find his tag and eventually find his kill. Double up in this round for him and put double digits on the board for Gambit. 10-2 to the board. And Big just look like, not that they haven't turned up to play today, but they're just struggling so hard. They definitely weren't prepared for Ancient.
No, they're getting outclassed here. And this is always the concern with Gambit is, all right, this event, things haven't looked great. They lost that best of one to Fiend. Mirage against Asuba was quite close. All the maps that they've actually converted have been so one-sided. The 16-2 on Overpass, the 16-3 on Inferno, the 16-6 on Mirage. And knowing we've got to step things up. We've been not great against some of the low-level competition. We're facing off against a tough side of Big, a top-end team. Let's bring it. Let's come into this game looking refreshed, and my goodness, they have.
Tactical pause taken by Big. Moment to try and do so appropriate at this moment. They've got a lot of work that needs to be done. And remember, their CT basis is this half. Going down by 8, possibly more, likely more. Hobbit, first out of the gate. Gonna see Smokes blind spray ahead of the see where Searson is as he takes that orb shot right back to the man. Get the advantage, at least for now.
Shira's looking for the pick back, though. Great opening man advantage for Big to work with. They've struggled with the opening man advantages these last few rounds, and now just a quick BXE out from Ramp.
Orb looks in, catches another with tabs and skills simultaneously on the Nafani. It's now 2 players left standing for Gambit. Finally a trade. Shira evades most of that nade, but Searson is still fragging. Triple up in the Quadra, and all the rounds go the way of Big. All the frags go the way of Searson. A third to the board of the CT side at last.
And they got a playmaker in that round. Searson moving about, very versatile on the map. He aggresses forward, plays in and around that smoke near the candles area, gets that first pick out from elbow, and just falls back immediately. Starts that rotation back out to the B side, playing into the back lines, even starting to aggress forward to have a look into that cave entrance, and getting Big their third.
A long last as well. Taking a sweet time too. This Smoke's on. Flashes forwards. Positions being taken, and the early entries into the ramp position in particular. Inters will start looking out for the player. Cheetah Tamsin continues to play in position, spraying manically, hoping he can find something through these wall bangs, but they're evading all the pre-fire positions, so nothing goes his way.
A lot of spams that you can do in and around that cheetah position, and so far for Tabson, he hasn't found a crazy amount of success with it. Searson, again, aggressive down on this angle in from mid. Hasn't been able to catch anyone just yet.
Spots them, but still misses the shot. Incendiary tries driving them away. Meanwhile, Hobbit punishes Tizian for his aggression. All-important frag. Found now by the T side. Or in for Searson. What a shot that was. Barely the head being offered up to him, but he gets it at a 4 versus 4.
It seems as if it's just a walk play down to this B side again. Into struggling with the entry. Gade gonna get traded out.
Smokes on the suppressed Tabson at this one. He's got Searson right behind him. They're trying to lean up. The sprays continue blind. They don't find these picks or damage being done. The flashbang will force Searson off angle to the left-hand side. They won't commit towards it, though. Where is that bomb? It is getting picked up.
Oh,
Axel's found the flank angle. He's caught Keto. He's opened up the A side already. He gets his double. He even on for the triple with a crack angle. Searson might suppress him, but now they know what to do. They might even press towards that B site even further. And Axel gets his triple. Big can go no further. It's 11-3.
Jeez, that's pure class coming through from Axel. And just notice the way the Gambit slowed that round down. They've got some map control into ramp, into cave. The bomb's still out from that outside of the B doors. Slow it down. Axel's got to play. We don't need to make a move. He's getting into those backlines. Not only does he deal with that A player to allow the opportunity of bringing that bomb back over, but he peeks forward, tries to cut the rotation. And hang on a minute, he's dropped all 3 players by himself.
Being in around 15, at least have a decent vibe. It's still limited. Utility is virtually non-existent. We've got an SMG for Tizian. Aggression coming in from Searson, hoping he can find something, anything, out here towards mid. And instead, the boost from Shiro just counters it. Hobbit falls in trade, sure, but it's a 4v4.
Yeah, dropping that AWP in the early round is going to make a big difference, because how else are they going to be able to recover that? Nafani getting flashed off. Tabson making an info play in from lane. Very passive for Gambit, trying to bait out a mistake.
Tabson finally gets Shiro to drop, so one responsive in. Inters immediately gets it right back to evens, though. And the man advantage that Big desperately are trying to cling onto is just falling apart at the seams. Wraparounds in from Tizian will get towards mid in the candles position. Gambit are thinking about the A play. Tabson's still watching elbow. They're going to peek him.
It all just comes down to this first fight. Tabs are now getting drawn the attention with that smoke down to the B doors, and that pulls his attention away. Tizian just jump spotting with the SMG, just hoping for some sort of mid-contact.
Full spot, Axel, the tap of the headshot. Reveals a little bit of info, not a lot of it. Didn't see that bomb, and only saw the one man. Starting to walk out for Gambit. We'll try and lean into Donut. They have got Tizian repositioning into the defensive part of that part of the map. Head of the corner tucked away, and if Farney starts walking 20 seconds, they could go either side. It's probably going to be a convergence, so rat to B.
It's got to be B, knowing they've got to regroup up with a teammate of Inter's and just try and sandwich in.
Time is of the essence. Here they come. Tabson. Here's the footsteps. Try to wrap in again. Stefani drops that bomb. All important. He's Axile. He gets that trade, but now needs to plant desperately. Has he got enough time for this? It's 3 seconds. Oh, it's denied. It's never mind. Keto lines them up and keeps it together for Big. A 4th round to close out their CT half. That's to the difference of 7, though. Gambit is still on fire right now.
Yeah, they are. You notice in that round, maybe they needed an extra 4 or 5 seconds just to be able to clear out the bomb site, make sure that even if it does get denied, that trade onto Tabson's going to come through, get that bomb down. They plant open for the back line, so it allows that rotation in from Keto. Overall, though, for Big, the issue I'm seeing with them, Jay, is any time they strike with an opening man advantage, it just feels like it gets taken away with them 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds maybe. They're never holding advantages. And for Shiro, what a performance this is in the first half of their map pick in a semi-final. 20 kills, 5 deaths, that's unreal.
Yeah, he is just on fire. Absolutely on fire. You don't even need guys like Hobbit and Co to perform. They're like 9 and 4 frags on him and Inters. Just because of the sheer amount of performance that Shiro's put up. He's just taken the brunt of their burden and put it on his back. And for Gambit, it's working well to their CT side. We shall go. Our second half of our first map, the punish pick that Big are getting punished for. Walking so aggressively. Maybe this could be the bait play that could catch Nafani off guard. No, he wins that one fight on Tabson. Keto's so close, but Nafani's out of dodge. He's spotted him still on the shoulder bait. Rotates away back towards Cheetah, back into the CT part of the map. And with the man advantage intact, he sees the shoulders continuously, knows that they're peeking.
And that hurts, because that setup for Big is supposed to counter exactly what Nafani did. You've got 2 players crossfiring, that if there is a slow walk aggression, we're going to catch him off. Instead, it doesn't happen at all, and Tabson just falls.
Just goes to show how many things have gone right for Gambit versus how many things have gone wrong for Big. Gades P250 leaning in. It's Stefani with a shot on Searson. Gade spotted as well, tagging a couple of players pretty low, but not getting the kills for it. It's a 5v3 as a result. Big got to work with a man disadvantage and Hobbit. Oh, he spotted 2 more players. Maybe even deny that bomb from crossing. He does get overwhelmed a little bit, so Keto can find the trade. Try open up a line to the A site, the smokes go down to B.
I love the way that Gambit just keep prodding. Even when they got that first pick, we're still seeing some aggression out from Ramp, still seeing it from Hobbit. So it feels as if for Big, pressure's just always on. It's never getting taken away. And now they start that wraparound into the A site. Rotations are already on the way.
Less than 30 seconds. Axile in at Temple, spotting 2 individuals. Can't get the shots on Tizian. He's getting a couple of decent tags. Nafani back at the CT cross. Will afterwards concede the bomb plant. Tizian does get dropped, but Axile makes it a double on Gade and a triple on Keto and all. He has been another stellar play. He might not have had the same number of numbers, I think, for Shiro, but he is still showing up some multi-frag rounds and very good performances from his. 12th to the board for Gambit. And Big, I mean, they have got a bomb plant bonus, so they can buy, but they need a round desperately.
Yeah, they do. And we start mentioning the pistol round percentage again. We're now looking over at Gambit as one of the best here in the competition. 11-1, 3 loss. They're currently 10-0 for their round 2 conversions of winning pistol and the follow-up. That's something that NKJ's going to have to be looking at, saying, okay, if Gambit have been so successful with winning that second round after pistol, why? And what can we exploit?
What's left in the tank for Big here on map 1? Where do they go with this disaster? Tactical pause, I believe, has just been called. The second one for Gambit, interestingly enough. I mean, they don't need it, but I'm with you on that front.
It just comes down to the mindset, knowing it's not over. Yeah, we're up by a crazy margin. Let's not do anything uncharacteristic. Let's stick to our game plan. Let's come in composed. Let's make sure we're not losing this anti-force buy. And let's roll them. Let's have a very convincing scoreline. Keep it as close to a 16th as possible. And even Axel, he's thinking about making an aggressive move here in A main.
Pressed up with a nade and Nishi, but falls back. Shiro playing anti-flash here at the back plat position. And all the Ts could walk in and engage him. The AWP assist and has no info to this flank angle. Axile set ahead of Temple. We're gonna receive this utility inbound now. Smokes on, spray through, and Shiro's gonna wait. Shiro's gonna wait, spots the bomb carrier, engages, gets the frag together. Needs to get a bit more. They have absolutely no idea where he's come from. He gets away with a second frag. Searson turns that to Hobbit with his own frag. A double up as well. Searson in a 1v3. You can find Hobbit so easily, but everyone else is gonna be the challenge. And now they're on the site, flanking around, looking for the crack angle. The no-scopes don't hit, and Nafani drops him. Oh, disaster for Big. They struggled to figure out his position, and that's what cost them the most.
I think they're still in the hotel room, haven't woken up yet. What's going on there? First of all, they find that first pick. Axile's playing the off angle in from Temple. Beautiful entry. Great start into the round. You've got to be clearing your angles. Even when the M4 A1S strikes from Shiro, that information has got to be pulled over. It took them so long to realize where he was. By then, rotations are already combining in.
It's not looking good. This is not looking good right now for Big. Losing the pistol, losing the full bomb bolstered by, and now down to Deagles on the eco round. This is not looking good. 16. Only 3 more rounds for Big to get there. Gambit. Such a ridiculous lead right now.
And it could be even further. Knowing they're up against an eco in a round like this, passiveness coming through, not searching, not getting too overly aggressive, working with the sound cues and putting that util down into Cheetah, making sure there's no much further aggression in from Big.
Damage done to Shiro, Tizian down to 39 as well. Axar with the M4 waiting. Deagler tabs him behind the smokes in at main. They walk their way back over towards Elbow. Might try press onto the A site with that bomb being so committed on Tabson's part. Just wait here. Axar in the center of the site.
No util is going to be the defining factor in a round like this. Even Hobbit is searching in for a mid pick. Searson, he's going to be a dead man. Now they've got no lurk. They've just got to go out from A main themselves.
All important start. Split removed. Now 4 individuals to work in from main. Bomb on the back of Tabson still. Working at the site. Shiro will drop Keto. Hobbit with the crack angles into the back lines. And finally Tabson drops that bomb. Axar with his credited frag. Gay with 1 responsive. That's as far as it will go, though. Tizian and Gay quick to drop. 14-4. 10 rounds of difference. Guns are back in for Big, but this could be their last chance.
It really is their last chance, Jay. They have to show us something. And I want to see some pace coming through from Big. Try and see if they can hit them head on, whether it's some early lane control or it's getting out from elbow quick. Just trying to see if they can somehow manage an opening man advantage, see if they can create some early space in the round. It just feels as if so much just is not going their way at all. And Searson with the AWP, he could be the difference maker in a round like this.
It's got to be. At this stage, it's got to be better than Shiro. Keys to the man that walks up first and foremost straight out of the main position alongside Tabson with the bomb on his back. This could be risky, but it also could pay off for them. There's no one directly on the A site here for Gambit. They went for a hard stack towards the B play, so actually the bomb goes down for free.
Yeah, 3 on B and 2 in from mid. It seemed as if Big had read that immediately and now can just slow it down. This is going to be a tough retake from Gambit.
Molotov keeps Hobbit at bay for the time being, so time is being stalled for. Gambit are going to go for this. Got plenty of cash, and they're finally setting up the backstab. Gade is trying to account for it. The CTs... They with positions, nade into the back lines. Tizian catches that directly at his feet. 49 HP, counter flash in. Inter's going to turn away from it. Time's running short here. They've got to get a pick it relatively soon, and Tabson finds his frag instead. That might force them back. Indeed, Keto gets Hobbit, and Axar's not moving. They're going to pin them into the site, try to get them to go out with a bomb blast. Axar and Shiro with a couple of decent exit frags. The round is gone. Soon spotted by Nafani. Tutu at the corner. He gets that first. Not quite that second, but Gade is the lone player standing, so an expensive round win for Big.
I would still say that's pretty excellent in from Gambit. Yeah, they weren't able to get that round together. Once they're in a 3v5 and they lose a couple of players, they just say, right, let's look for exits. We know we've got some money. Let's try and see if we can put some damage in. Knowing that only 1 player stayed alive there from Big does not help the economy game at all. And Gambit know that if we step it up here, we win this next rifle round, we pretty much win the game because we're just going to cripple their economy.
Absolutely. Tactical taken. To discuss the strategy of how they're going to go ahead and do that. They're still only 2 rounds away from the victory. The guns come back in, the AKs, the Galils, of course, reinvested on from the part of Big. Expense definitely be felt in this round. Of course, full guns out for the CT side. Got M4s, the single orb. Not really opting for double orbs here for Gambit. Big went for that quite a lot on their CT half. But Shiro's doing enough. They don't need a second orb.
Yeah, Gambit are one of those teams that actually don't double orb very frequently at all. They know that with their setups and the protocols they have, they can find more success with just one. Even out to this elbow position. So much counter utility in from Gambit means that it's going to be a late take into mid. Big have just got that one lurk in from the lane area of Quito.
Nice space ahead of the smoke for Tizzy in. Look out from elbow. The majority of players. One player over at lane can come in from window, and it's Exile sees the majority of them coming. Flashbang counteracts them. Should blind off Tizzy for the time being. Get a bit more cover as he crosses back to the right-hand side. Find Tabson on the quick shot. Advantage now for the CT side. Hobbit there to keep it. As Axel gets traded, he doubles up, drops that bomb. Looks in against the AWP, who misses a crucial shot. Takes so much damage, and Shiro comes in to get the trade. Quito in a 1v4, and Shiro wall bangs him out of the server. Map point for Gambit. Their punish pick is going so well, and Big on the precipice of going down one in this series. They've got no money left.
No, not at all. And we're even in a position for Shiro that we're going into round 21. He's died 6 times. He's stayed alive in so many of these rounds. He's up to 26 frags. He'd love to be able to get that 30 bomb. That might not even be possible, though, because this round, this could be it. When you have a look at really what Big are bringing to the table, they're going to need a miracle if they're able to keep themselves in this game longer here on this first map.
I'd be so stunned if they can do it here. Orps in, looking around. Shiro already set towards that beat. Contact sees the shoulder bait of the one individual. Got Nafani now set with his own M4 against Quito's position. He'll walk up. Look to catch him. It's Shiro instead with the orb that gets first blood in round 21. Hobbit will find 2 more out towards mid. And at this stage, it's all falling apart for Big. What a great map pick. A great veto for Gambit. And they're proving it here in this punish. 16-5 on the table. 2 more frags to get there. Now 1 more frag to get there. Gade got a full ace this and he wants to keep Big alive. Shiro just hunting for the info. As soon as he reveals it, all CTs converge on his position. The orb might even take him down. He finds that one. Not quite that second shoulder bait on the shot. Baiting in for the AWP. He gets his double up. But 60 seconds to grab that bomb and continue the frags.
And it just all comes down to information. Hobbit down here towards his donut position. Gade's got to try and see if he can find that jewel straight away. Get back to that bomb. Someone's going to meet him head on. That's Inters. And you've got to imagine Gade's not going to win this fight. 16-5. What a result coming through from Gambit. And honestly, Jay, they weren't tested there.
They weren't. No, absolutely not. This is not a great map for Big, so we can't be too shocked. But that is cause for concern. Even going into Dust 2, this is one of the first few times that we've seen Gambit actually get a first map in the series, or not struggle at the very least in the first map of the series hit leg.
Yeah, very true. And what a way to turn it around when you look at their results where they had some struggles against the Suba. It looked as if for a moment Enterprise was going to get under their skins. They come into the semi-finals and this is a team that just looks so deadly.
And I love that as well, by the way. You just saw Groove pull out the scrapbook sheet. Like, he's already preparing for the second map. They're already good to go and almost ready to get into it at this stage play. Like, for Gambit, they just look so locked on at the moment. They look so much better than that group stage run, than that first round of the playoffs. This is a team now that could win the whole thing.
But, I mean, we expected that coming into this, though. There's no other way of putting it around. This is the favourite team here. This is the best team that we've got in this competition. And now we're starting to see glimpses of why they're the best.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw glimpses right there throughout the course of that entire map up. A whole map of why they are one of the best. And for Big, like, it's got to really just demoralising. But knowing that their map picker Dust 2, their best map in the pool, is coming up next, is that going to be a momentum shift right now?
It could be. But look at the could, right? You've got to think you're shattered after that one. You think, my goodness, Gambit have just come alive. We haven't been able to trade out Shiro. He just kept hitting us. Going into Dust 2, it's not going to a third map easily at all. Big are going to have to really step up. They're going to have to focus. And the mental factor is definitely going to be a big win condition for Big on how they sort of feel going into that second map.
We'll find out how they do feel and whether or not they can turn this situation around. It is Dust 2 their own pick after this very short break. So do stick with us here at V4 as the desk will be back to break down whatever they can over on Ancient, and we continue with our semi-finals.
anyone before. And I love you like no one ever before. And I love you like no one anyone before. And you like no one ever loved anyone before. I know. Yes, I know.
The unique cultural heritage of the Visegrad Four and their 30-year collaboration enrich Europe. The past year and a half has produced unprecedented challenges, which we have faced by helping each other. Europe and the world are entering a new era, and the Visegrad countries are joining forces to shape the continent's future. Recharging Europe.
You are not my friends, you're my brothers, my friend.
I like my little light up pen. It's good. I know, yeah, we're live. Just enjoying my pen moment, you know?
Right, yeah, I guess. That game, not much to talk about, so you might as well talk about your pen.
Exactly. I feel nice to give a pen that's also got like little play you can play on
I was
the
like,
mobile.
what's going on? Is he lagging? Like, you know, it's just like...
Well, it needed to fill some time, you know, when a game was that fast. And when it comes to Gambit winning maps, and especially when it's not Dust 2, they show us this full strength. You mentioned it, Yanko, this Shiro and Axel moment of when they can come together and they can be this simple-esque electronic duo. Well, they showed it in massive skill.
Yeah, both 118 ADR in this game,
Wild.
really. You know, unfortunately, Shiro 28 kills, 16 of them with the AWP. Insert the Michael Jordan photo, and I took that personally, slash NKJ interview, right? So, yeah, I mean, jokes aside, who knows how players receive that? Some may look at it and like take it as fuel, right? So I'm sure Dralon is going to have a conversation with HLTV about those clickbaity titles,
Yeah,
right?
maybe not take a page out of the Score eSports playbook, you know. Yeah, on the big side, you know, I guess as the saying goes, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. You know, just the fact that, you know, this is a map which you like played maybe once in the past 3 months, you know, and just letting that float in the veto gives me the impression that, okay, you came in this with a plan prepared specifically for Gambit, right? And I guess we kind of saw like glimpses of that, you know, with the mid control, Tizian's aggressive lurks, but in the end, you know, the problem with this type of setup is that if your plan fails, you know, what do you fall back on? You don't really have that fundamental.
And the reason why a team is really good on a map most of the time is due to their T side, and what they're really good at on T side is punishing plays in there, having a strong default, right? Like being good on any T side comes from having a strong default, and that's what you saw from Gambit. Like even when some of those lurks did come through, like Tizian gets a kill on Hobbit, they still kind of react very quickly in a good way. They take the side, right? So it really negates the lurk, and Gambit finally shown like that. That's one of the main strengths of their game, really, is a strong default on the T side, and they've really stepped up here on the first map.
And even when we saw big at times on their CT side try to get aggressive, try to get some more information, poke out against it, it was Gambit who were there with like boosts to be ready for it, protocols to spam back and fire back on it. There was really watchful work.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, we can show actually the clip that we have picked out, because that's exactly what you're talking about. Their big try to do it really from the first gun round. I mean, you can see Keto right in a forward position with the AWP, and unfortunately, this is one of those situations. You don't hit the shot, you're dead. And we see it straight up from Nafani, you know, gets the kill. He knows that there's probably a lot of space. One more guy towards Donut somewhere. They just use their utility to negate that deep angle, right, towards CT spawn. Gets another kill on Tizian. And that's really round over, and unfortunately, and they get some kill on the exits, and we'll go straight into the second clip, James.
Wow.
Because it just shows you really the opposite side of it, right? Like, and that's what Big really was dependent on. Most of the rounds that they won were due to individual performances. So you can see here, Keto a bit more defensive position, late round, obviously, right? And now he's hitting his shots, right? A great movement, great triple kill from him, and that's it. Round is over, right? And that's all it takes sometimes, you know. No matter how unfortunate it is, if that anchor is on point, especially with the AWP, it's hard to penetrate the bomb site. And if he gets caught, the round is pretty much over. And Big won a half buy with 2 saved guns. Round before this, the Keto 3K, the Searson 4K with the AWP, and the final round, I think, of the half or the penultimate round. So unfortunately, they just needed more hero performances, really, when they're such an underdog on a map like Ancient.
And it started to get scary because we spoke about the fact in a lot of these games, even against the lesser opponents, Gambit started off slow. Well, that wasn't the case this time around, right? They get off to a great start and they just kept running with it.
To be fair, like a lot of those games, like the first map was Dust 2, obviously, you know, the one which they looked the weakest on, and every time where it came down to actually closing out the series, then they delivered, right? Those leaving the enemy team in double digits. So just the fact that they started off Ancient here, you know, is like a more comfortable map for them, I guess, than Dust 2.
Well, more uncomfortable for Big as well. I think Big probably was hoping, like, with the veto, that Gambit was going to go for Vertigo as their own comfort pick and not have to worry about any shenanigans from Big on Ancient. But Gambit, great job calling their bluff. I think that's what you need to do when you have an advantage in the map pool. You need to actually use it, right? Like, and that's what they did. But now we go to Dust 2. Obviously a must-win map for Big. They're facing elimination, and also they're probably the favorite on this map, seeing as how Gambit played recently and how good Big has been on Dust 2, even the previous iteration. They translate that to the new Dust 2, right? So I think there's a good chance unless we see that third map.
But even with that, right, obviously looking back at all these Gambit Dust 2s, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't good, but it was also, you mentioned Yanko, Axar wasn't there in a lot of it. He's definitely ready for this game. Do you think they're just stepping up when it's a higher profile game?
I think so. I think that's going to be the case here. They're going to play better than they did on previous Dust. And also, it's a learning experience. They probably misjudged some things about their approach, right? Like, thought some things were going to work that actually didn't. Could be also, you know, against lower tier opponents, they do some unexpected things, right? They don't understand sometimes the risks that they're taking, so it catches you off guard. But I've just seen a lot of good things from Big on this map who really, you know, give the edge. The way Gambit wins is if they just keep rolling over them individually, right? Like have some good rounds over and over again, some big clutches. I think team-wise, I give a slight edge to Big on the map.
But here's the thing, you know, since this is Big's pick, I guess Gambit is going for the CT start on the side which they are stronger on, right? If it's the T side which they always had issues with. So if you start strong on CT, just string together like enough rounds to like manage with the T side, you know, that's your win condition here as Gambit.
Stylistically though, right, Big, not only just they're the better team on Dust 2 from what we've seen from the tournament, but stylistically it's very different to like playing an Enterprise on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the problem for Big might be they lose the pistol, they're 3-0 down, and then they don't get a long spawn, so you kind of have to play default. Shiro has the op. You have to play slower on T side because of the whole lower mechanic now and everything. And you know, if they lose that round by playing slow, and now you're 5-0 down, then it gets like really difficult to play. There's probably a lot of money on the Gambit side, right? I think that's a scenario they need to avoid at all costs, because it can be really suffocating to play T side, you know, when the CTs have a lot of confidence, when they have good economy, right? And they feel like they can always boost up CAT, they can go into lower B, they can do all these things, right? And it just drains out the clock so much when you're on the T side to make sure you don't give away those kills and take some map control.
And in terms of, obviously, we know this is very favoured for Big in it. Mentally, I don't think I need to worry about them, though, right? This is a team that's always been quite strong, quite well put together. We just saw them outside as well. They should be in a comfortable spot to think, come on, this is our map, and we're on a great streak with this right now.
Yeah, like you said, you know, Dust 2 for this team has always been like either the way to start off a series off strongly, or their way back into a series, right? So Dust 2 coming into this off a 7-map win streak, you know, this is something which they are like, okay, we dropped the first map, you know, it was Ancient, time to just reset from there, forget about that. We're going into our own home map, you know, the one we know like as the palm of our hands. So this is our chance to get back into it, and then you go to the decider map where it's like a, you know, from there on it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I think also I want to see Tabson on this map. He's always been good on Dust 2, especially that CT side, playing either rotator or A position, right? Like, has a really good feel for the game. I think he's been one of their standout players when it comes to LAN 2. Bit of a slow first map, but they were getting crushed more or less. It was only Searson who had really a decent game. So, yeah, I think they're going to need some of that with how the stars of Gambit have been playing.
Well, let's see if the stars of Gambit are going to be enough to get them the 2-0, or will Big continue their streak and dominate on Dust 2? We're about to find out with Jay and Dweg.
I have a feeling that Big might have this one, honestly, at least for this very map. I did say that Dust 2 has been a bit of a struggle. Yanko mentioned it over on the desk, how it's not been the greatest map for Gambit in this event, and whilst it has been historically fantastic for Big, that's the reason why I feel like this one's going to go down that route. You, earlier before we went on broadcast, were disagreeing with me.
I think the mental factor's huge here, right? Semi-final again. We know that for Big, this has been a slow start for them in the best of 3. Weren't able to find a lot there on that first map of Ancient. And knowing that for Shiro, this is his home turf of Dust 2. Last 3 months, he averages a 1.41 rating on Dust 2. And I think to myself, if he can perform like he did on that last map, there's a very good chance that Gambit take this in 2.
I mean, that's absolutely true. And I feel like that if they are going to take it into it, might be a close little affair. I don't think Big are going to go out without a fight in this one. I feel like they're going to give it their all, and they're going to give this at least a bit of a show for this second map. But I do feel like they're going to have enough. They have enough in the tank to be able to take this map. Again, that's just the issues that Gambit have had. Like, there are just some losses that you can't really accept on this map of Dust 2. Like, obviously. For another semi-final 2-0, and this time on LAN as well against Big. That much is definitely a possibility here, and it could well make it reality if they can show up in their particular fashion and in the way that they've hoped that they've been able to force Dust 2 into the map pool in this event. For me, I'm a little bit more skeptical to that factor. I feel like Big, they just know what they're doing on this map, so let's see them jump into it and see how far they can go. Pistol round, T-side start for Big. Pistols in at the standard USPs in the Glocks out for the respective squads. No upgrade pistols, no mass amount of utility. Enough for the execution for the T side, enough for the defensive for the sequence.
Early long contact in from Gambit of at least getting players down to that pit and bait and switch angle out into the blue bin. It seems as if Big just trying to see if they can maintain some of this aggressive short position. So far for Hobbit with Xbox being smoked, he hasn't seen anything.
Looking out with the USP for the likes of Keto or Tizian. Being a bit aggressive and might even bait them into the mid-door face. He's going to wait behind that corner. The smokes go down. Nafani can try body blocking. Look on the position, dish out some damage, but Hobbit is the man that gets taken down first. Great start for Keto. Now Inger's going to provide support. And he does get that one headshot, but only one headshot. As he falls, B sites open. It'll be a 4v3 on the retake.
A difficult retake. They really need to deal with Tizian straight away before they can even think about getting into the bomb site. They know that he's here.
Plant secured. Axel will find him and now turn it back into the even man standing. HP advantage just slightly favour the CT forces on this one. Gade at car, 2 players at plat, 1 forward at Xbox, 1 player back at blue. Shiro can't see the head. The flashes start going over for Nafani, setting in for the retake. Gade blocks set back behind the position. Keto and Tabson find their 2 frags, and Nafani suddenly becomes the lone player left in a 1 versus 3. Well out of dodge, without Kevlar. The fuse kit on him had to be the retaking diffuser. His teammates falling. There's no chance left in this round. It will be a pistol game by Big.
Yeah, well done from Big. That was a good takeout from mid. Split themselves into that B site, and Nafani can't really do anything. Keto with a 3K starting things off lovely. And that's just what Big need. It's the confidence booster of winning the pistol. Now we've got to look at trying to get that round 2 conversion, try and see if we can defeat that force buy that's going to be coming through from Gambit.
Much better turnaround for them. Need to get this pistol, need to get the conversions as well. That's why how Gambit set themselves up in the lead and never conceded it from that point. So Big probably need a similar start here on their home turf. What's the force in for the CT side of Gambit will feature some upgrades in the scouts, the SMGs and the pistols of the 5.7 Eagle CZ. Nothing major for this one, but you would expect a second round force buy.
Oh, Big are the second lowest team in this event for their round 2 conversions, Jay. 25% won. That doesn't look that encouraging going into the second round.
Well, who's the worst?
Who's the worst? Not Big. They're the second worst.
I'm pretty sure Gambit might be down there somewhere as well. They found that first pick in this particular round there. Axel headshot onto Searson, so encouraging start for the Russians this time. Big continue pressing onto long. Axel looking for his second frag. The flashes continue coming over. He will get forced back into the center of the side. Eventually see one man get so close to the headshot on Tabson, but doesn't land it. So it will be a 4 versus 4 with the CZ of Hobbit getting away with one more. And finally picks up the mantle of the scout and turns it into a frag, finishing off the job that Axel had started. 3v2, Deagle shots missed from Shiro, forced back out of position. His D-side players' opponents will get into the walls of site itself, burn quite significantly. Can't be able to get the bomb plant just yet, but they'll get close towards it, especially as they get it to a 2 versus 2.
Fighting with the scout still on the side doing damage, and now all comes down to Gade. And what was that? 25%, even lower now. What a round coming through from Gambit. And it seems to be a consistent struggle for the Germans of winning pistol and not converting that second round.
Yeah, this is not a very good start. It was a great start with the pistol. Now, since that point, it's come to fruition for the Gambit camp. Great shot from Axel to start off the round itself. Shame we didn't get even more out of that, but Nafani turned that scout on his dead body onto a fantastic round hold from him. Not even a bomb plant gained there by Big. They were desperate in need of money for this one. And of course, they had the force back in with the upgrade pistols. No cash in the bank.
Now, they did win a few force buy and eco victories when we look back at that Fiend result. There was definitely some scrappy rounds coming into the mix there when we had a Mirage and Dust 2 being played out. So don't count this force buy out of the equation. Gambit have got a lot behind them to go up against the pistols. The issue I have here for Big is the lack of utility. One flash for Gade, and that's it.
Set to position, just going to wait here in mid. Keto walks forward, Deagle in hand, hoping he can catch somebody out here. Smokes will go down from his opposing force. And it does force him back.
Try and see if they can put some force and some pressure down towards the A play. Axel up close and personal to that long smoke in the long house. Have to imagine Searson and Tizian need a 1-to-1 trade if that's possible. And Axel just pre-fires.
Reads it so well. It's a kill onto the man and kicks things off for Gambit. It's got 2 T-side players also back there in the longhouse. Meanwhile, 2 T-side players acting from short and already up towards elbow. Hobbit's going to spot him. Oh, quite take the frag just yet. Eventually comes up good. Keto has found a trade. Samson trying to look for another one. Indeed, he can do just that. But Hobbit Does pressure against him and back up on the way. The USP still finds the frag onto Keto. Now Tamsin has an AK in a 1 versus 3. Probably have to get rid of that, honestly. Make sure the CTs can't get their hands back on it and go down against the Gambit side to get a money bonus. He does fight Nafani and does win out that engagement. 20 seconds. Backstab still being set by Inters, but Hobbit will find his pick regardless. A triple in this round for him and a second round to the board of Gambit.
Yeah, Hobbit hasn't been able to assist in a lot of fragging when it comes to this event, but definitely assist per round is one of his capabilities first in this event of where he's been able to shine right there. You can look at the shining power up onto that A side. The way that Keto is able to find some impact. Tabson's dealing with the long player. Okay, there's a way back into this round. Even though Hobbit's low, he finds a triple.
Master in hand as well for the man. Not easy for him to get that triple either. Set with the pistols now, the full eco for Big. Not going to have much in terms of what they can do in this round. They'll give it their best shot out towards mid. They'll just rush straight down. Shiro set with the AWP. Searson first to fall. Flick onto the second man, not going to be quite as easy. The USPs can't overwhelm with the numbers game. Hobbit can't turn around and some frag, however, to return to the advantage for Gambit. Player up close, they're not aware of Tabson's part. Inter's there, forced into the trade. Damage has been done here by Big.
Well, this looks somewhat promising. If they're able to bait in some more over-aggression and Tizian can hit some decent AWP picks, something could be created here.
It's back's turn to Axel, though. Axel's going to find the pick onto him and double up as well. Grab that AWP. Save it into the next round, of course, for the Gambit camp. Carry it forward to their third on the board. 3-1 in the lead as well for the CT forces, and Big will have the guns out. They lost the pistol and they won the pistol, but lost the conversions in the subsequent 3 rounds after that. And now it's just guns out for them.
Yeah, that round was okay for Eco. They put a fair bit of pace down towards those mid doors, really just crunch in onto the AWPer, get away with a secondary pick as well. Aggression could come through from Gambit into those lower tunnels, having a lot of players out from the doors itself. Show with the AWP, gets a flush off angle, and that smoke goes down, just gets out of there, doesn't even continue to fight.
Just opening shots, not connecting fully. Themselves back up as Keto leans in the first contacting player over here towards the blue bins. He's got his teammates all around him at the longhouse. One lurker out from Gade might be the interesting element, though. The CT's starting to peek forward at the upper tunnels. But he's not taking contact. He's passive at the entrance.
I like the way they've actually left Inters in that sort of upper tunnels position and kept pushing the Nafani forward into lowers. Because Gade's going to say they haven't over-aggressed, they haven't gone all the way out. Inters has joined the attention. This is all just a bait. They have no idea about Nafani.
Now they've got the flank in. He's so ready. Gade caught. Easy shot. Easy pick. Advantage now. Look at Hobbit, how close he is in mid. He catches that first player. 2 more up to fine. He only gets damage under the second. Keto with a responsive in the AWP. Shiro scoped in and heard. Keto overwhelms him and doubles up. Nade will finally trade back from Axel's part, so a 3v2.
Oh, what a protocol. And now they're even trying to see if they can flash out from mid. They won't be able to catch that bomb because the head's ducked down. Axel's still up here on A and looking for more.
40 seconds, watching for the next man. Headshot perfectly placed. Searson, 1 versus 3, all back out towards Pit. Ahead of Pit. Now outside of the longhouse, and we'll try and just retreat to save the weapon at this stage. 30 seconds, he can't get the bomb back, and he can't put it down to the site. With so many spread out CT players to find the trades and the kills, are going to be unlikely for him to clutch this, so slow walk back to car, save the AWP.
He could get hunted after time here, Jay. There is a very good chance this pick comes in.
Ooh. Fine, it's no time in just getting the frag together.
Still all right.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been even better if they were able to hold on to the to the trade after time and just cripple the economy state for for Big, I should say. Because that could have been even better for them. It could have been even more than just this 4th round. It could have been a 4th round leading into a very awkward buyback, which it might still be anyway here for Big. The pistols are coming out.
Yeah, possibly fearful that he turns around or he just rounds the corner and they don't actually get that pick at all, that he just holds on to the AWP. Gambit, 4 in a row. Lack of bomb plants for Big means we're in a state where it's just buy eco, buy eco. We're not getting those consistent rifle rounds in. This has got to be something they're looking at.
Only just now going to get up to max loss bonus as well, so we will continue with the buy eco, buy half buy, buy half buy. Up until we see a good round coming in for Big, or Tizian can start things off well in this round, and that could spiral things out of control. Axel first to fall.
Hey, he's been a menace down to that long and A position. You could see it in the last round with the protocols, the way that he's using the util, the way that he's still keeping these off angles held. So dealing with the main man is definitely a start in the round. It's what can be gathered after the fact. Now, knowing that kill came out into the longhouse, there's no way they can recover that weapon, so they've got a man advantage. They're still on pistols.
CT set, Nafani. Smoke down a position, enters, head of blue box, faded, straight through, connects 2. quite the triple, actually. The trades are good for the pistols. It's going to be a 3-on-2 advantage instead for Big.
They might just save from here, Gambit. They're so out of position. It's going to take them forever to get back into the bomb side. No kits for those couple of players. This looks like it's pretty much over.
Well, that's an eco steal for Big. Half bought into this round, only had pistols coming out of it, and here we stand with another round to the board of the T side, and unlikely another round. Talked about the status of the force buys continuing with the war of attrition and the buy eco that we would have been seeing from Big, but didn't even go so far as the second buy. That's encouraging. It breaks that deadly cycle. And at least keeps contention with some save weapons as well. Tizian might give up his life here in the tunnels. He's jump face to try to catch the AWP, and indeed, Shiro will give up his position. But now the T's just know to evade that and keep the weapons in play.
And that's got to be quite frustrating in from Gambit, knowing they lost to an eco, they lost that man advantage to start off the round out in long, and then even the entries coming down into the B site. We saw the way that Nafani and Inters just didn't hold for enough. They weren't able to get enough damage between them. There was some good util usage there from the Germans. Second round gained, and definitely a bit of a steal.
Great Deagle shooting contributed to it. Guns can get brought back down by Gambit. Saving the AWP and the AK means that there's plenty of firepower, and there's still a bit of cash available by around it. And he shots him from CS, however, not catching the first crosser in Nafani. He's the lone holder on that B site. They've only seen one of them. With tunnels being cleared out, you'll start to recognize what's going on here.
There we are. The vote down there on the social medias, up on Instagram. Get involved. Got another best of 3 after this one. Gambit leading by the front with the fans, leading by the front with the scoreline, 4-2. And now trying to see if they can put pressure down on these mid doors as the smoke starts to dissipate.
Molotovs ahead towards the short position as the T's start walking up. Keto. Man at the back of the pack and maybe on the center of the rotations. Hobbit again inserting himself into this door corner. Expecting there to be some T-side players that will pop their way out of here, but 60 seconds, and they just hold their angles, wait for the execution time.
That's information gathering, just that slight sound cue with some of the burning flames coming in. That one incendiary down to the longhouse and the AWP up into the site. They've got to try and molly him out, or at least flash him off angle.
Smokes down, jump faces. Execution being set in. Hobbit starts to act on that backstab. Axel knows there's a player making his way back out of the long position. Shiro is orb. Passive position down. Hobbit can strike. Get 2 players on the spray. Look for the triple. Couldn't quite connect on Keto. He's got backup, but he does get traded. Shiro with a 1 trade back. Can't turn around on Gane, who doubles in of his own accord and gets into a 2 versus 2. Man advantage goes nowhere. HP advantage now favors the CT Forces as it drops Gane, and it's Tizian on 44 HP. Falling back down to CT spawn. An unknown entity. I don't think Inters can account for it, but he still wins that fight. 10 seconds. Bombs in the open. Nafani has Dominion over it. All he's got to do is hit this next shot, and that's exactly what he'll do.
What a round coming through from Gambit. What an information play that was from Hobbit. And it all just comes down to the sound cues and what's going on there. They realise that there's a lurk out from the longhouse that isn't challenging. They've got the AWP from Shiro playing out from ramp. So Hobbit has that inkling. I can make an aggressive move. I can work a way forward out from those mid doors, and he just strikes. Yeah, Gade has a great sequence to try and recover the round, and then just time wasting in that 2v2 is all it is.
Big struggling in that one, thanks to Hobbit's backstab mostly. I don't think Shiro would have held on. No bomb plant either. Awkward buyback for Big. Seeing a Galil and a Deagle backing up the AWP and the AKs, of which will lean into the mid control. It'll be Searson towards CT. Nafani loses Axar, but the backs are still turned towards the man. Engages 1 player, transfers that spray back, but doesn't get the kill for it.
Shiro out from CT. They're just going to peek him dry. Surely they've got to put a smoke down.
Seeing the foot first enables that kill to come back. Blind shot does not connect to the next player, so it will leave Inters all alone. Smoke back onto the tunnels. Entrance turns on Tapton, tries to go 180 to Gade. Doesn't quite make it successful though. 2 versus 2. The retake is on.
He does his job there. Gets a 1-for-1. Puts it into an even playing field, and Hobbit's coming through from the upper tunnels.
Molotovs towards window. Shiro going to smoke that off to buy himself a bit more harder cover. The smoke clears out, and there's a player in the open. Perfectly timed for the CT man, and Gade now is back against the wall, pinned in a corner. Flashes evaded. Knows that Shiro's coming in from the left. Coming in from the doors as well. The gun barrel spotted. Hobbit also seen as well. Gade with his frag. 40 HP. 1v1 creeping around, knows that Shira's firing. Blind Mercy comes up with the spray, and that's all important for Big's third.
That's a couple of decent rounds in a row there coming through from Gade. He wasn't rewarded in that previous, but that one right there, he steps up, he isolates, he doesn't get baited. You could see the way that Shiro's just trying to wiggle around that gun barrel, try and see if he can force out a pre-fire, or at least a swing out into the open, isolates those 1v1s, plays it to perfection, and for Big, that's an incredibly necessary round, because now look at what that does to the economy of Gambit.
They're forcing back into round 9. We've got upgrade pistols, however, for their troubles. Not a great buy. This might be Big's window back into the matchup here. Quickly out to Longhouse, they'll go. Axile forced back into the back of the A site. He's already on the retreat very early before the flash is starting coming forward for him. Got plenty of players around.
It has to just be a long take in from Big. No lurks in from mid or anything. Sirison could just stay towards that right-hand side of the pit position. And even for Hobbit, he's just keeping info gathered in from mid and just not seeing anything.
Molotovs towards Car will clear out that position. No CT axe. Scout still watching as Inters is 5-7. Axile on the smoke puts that down. Body block. Inters trying to generate a gap there at the cross. Doesn't quite do so successfully. He's walked right past Tizian though. Flash in. CT starting to peek. Tizian's completely blinded off. Damage has been done to his teammates though. Still fighting pretty close to the ramp. Hobbit probably spotted out there. Engagement for Axel and else. Tizian to get his frag. Hobbit there with a responsive and doubles up as well. Taps forward to do damage towards Gade here. And now his teammates are on the firing line. Finally, Hobbit is traded to a 3 versus 3 scenario, but Bigger suppressed here, putting further utility down. Trying to get into the A site, get this bomb plant if at all possible. They've got to boost up as well to the night, even further for the Fani. Head C, taps up, spams away, Sears and gets the advantage.
Oh, there's so much damage being done. Any of these players could multi-frag, and now the time's being low. They are going to be able to get the bomb down at least.
Shiro on the wraparound towards Long, now being covered off. Inters in the midst of that smoke as it starts to clear. Where does he go with this? Up to elevator, Searson. Closest contact individual at the edge of that player spotted in for the first, not quite the second though. Searson holds down the triple and holds down the round for Big. An expensive one though. Gambit forced the issue, however. They also don't have money.
Searson stepped up massively in that round. He was 1-1-8 at one point. Now he's actually got into a position where he was able to find a triple up against those force buying pistols. And while there was a lot of damage being done, it seems as if Hobbit was creating that opportunity with the multi-kill out from the CZ. It did come down to the slow passive rifles to bait in those overpeaks, make the mistakes happen, and for Big, now just calm it down.
Tactical pause taken. Moment to think things through, and again, the Big to gear themselves up and continue this Dust 2 streak, continue this Dust 2 form. Gonna need to at this stage to keep them alive. Still down by a single round, so it's not out of the woods for them just yet. They've still got a little bit of work that needs to be done. Why this tactical pause is appropriate. But they have got an eco to deal with here. USPs cross the board for Gambit, no major investment. AKs will walk up initially. Keto and Gade. Flashback from Hobbit could allow a peek in from the CT forces here, and that could be stacked around the corner. Cleaned up relatively well. Hobbit with one trade back, 2-1 overall. Gade sees one man out towards Car, spots that second attack head on, taps forward, taps in, will get his next couple of kills and deal with the last players of the CT forces. So 2 casualties taken there for Big. And the guns come out for both sides.
That's an alright round. You'll take that as an eco, a couple of kills, try and see if you can lopside the economy if at all possible. And for Big's Dust 2, currently on a 7-map winning streak. In the last 3 months, we've seen 11 wins and 3 losses for them. Without a doubt, the strongest map in the pool.
They're going to look at Gambit and how cool they're collected these guys are. Searson lands that first pick into the mid control, catching Hobbit to kick things off here in round 11. Great frag, great start. That might be enough for Big already here. The economy state and the general equipment level for Gambit could lead to some very awkward times for them. Losing a rifle, possibly util in mid, that's going to be massive.
And with that mid pick, it just allows them to start really finding a lot of space across the map. You can assume that Gambit aren't going to make too many hyper-aggressive plays in a round like this. Sure, with the AWP, has just not been able to find the same level of impact that he did in the last map. He's got to start to turn things around and keep an eye out for this lurk in mid.
Yeah, 4 kills for him at the moment. Into's up at 7 and not going to extend to 8. Keto just domes him in immediately and forces the save call already for Gambit. been so careful with their economy state over the course of this CT side. They've gone for a number of saves when they've had disadvantage scenarios. And this is one of those scenarios right here. A 6th to the board of Big as they take the lead away from Gambit. And the save is the correct call here.
It's more so the positioning than the economy, honestly, Jay. You have a look in that round. Okay, Hobbit is the mid player that's trying to cross. He gets caught off guard. What about Inters? He's playing B alone. There's not another teammate to support him. They don't have a mid player. So because of that, yeah, you can look at the economy game and saying, oh, they're saving because of that. They're also saving because they've got no one that can rotate B in a quick fashion to at least get some of those trade kills.
T-Side will go hunting here for Big. They're trying to remove them from play, and that'll destroy the economy anyway here. Smoke's on. Shiro's blinded. A bit more harder cover for him, though. Here they come. Flash ahead. Turn away and fours. Do find 2 frags. They do catch Axel, though, and the finally will drop. Shiro stays alive. That's 1 gun saved in for the CT side. I don't think they can buy more.
And that was very well played in from Big. And one aspect of their game plan that they have brought into this tournament so far is being first for their flash assist per round. 0.27. Looking to try and see if they can step that up into this best of 3. Definitely doing so on Dust 2. And for Gambit, knowing that they had such an early start of 4-1, it just feels as if they're starting to lose their form and lose that momentum.
Yeah, Big in control. Pistols out of the half by now for Gambit, taking it slowly into this round. Try aggress once again into the long position. This time all the way up to house. It's Shiro's AWP saved in. That does find that first pick in the mid position. So slightly better for him by comparison to his previous rounds. With the aggression from Nafani being unchecked here at lower tons, there could be potential that the teams can make some mistakes. Nafani spots out Gaze. He's util coming in towards top mid. Here's the footsteps of Tabson. Doesn't swing to punish yet.
Oh, this looks promising. The NWP is playing on A. They've spotted the bomb up into short. They're playing 2 long players. All that comes down is trying to get the baits forward.
Tizian missed the window, not quite watching for Nafani. Share with his AWP frag through the smoke. 2 players spotted, they turn around, and Nafani struggles, but he gets his kill together. Gane actually assisted TK against Keto, and it's a 3v2. Hobbit with a counter backstab will catch off and finish the job that Nafani had started. Tizian in a 1 versus 3, and Gambit have made Big fall apart, just decimating them in his eco. Tizian, though, gets his 2 taps, brings it back to a 1v1. This is still on for him.
He can flash forward once he starts crossing out for the doors, and Shiro's going to beat him on the rotation.
AWP at the ready. Got to bring it out. Hearing those footsteps. Flashbang ahead. He lands that shot. Makes it a triple. Shiro with the hero. In the 6th round for Gambit, equalizing once again.
And if there's anything that Big can take away, Jay, on this LAN event and look at it after and say, okay, this is something we've got to work on, it has to be them up against these anti-ecos and anti-force buys. When we have a look at the amount of rounds over the course of this event, they've lost to the half buys, they've lost to the hero weapons. And that one right there, yes, you've got a hero, or what else have you got? Just pistols. We don't even have any armor for most of them.
Oh. Take a look at Shiro's shots once again as well in this round. You can see exactly why they were able to turn it towards his favor. Great patience in the suicide peak, flicked back by getting a tiny amount of info above the smoke on short. And now Big. They will force the issue back in this one. 3 rifles, 2 pistols, the Eagles in, AKs and AWP. Citizens all set towards that A peak from CT spawn. They're going to converge in, split towards the B site. They've got Nafani and Inters and Shiro with a fantastic slow face. Nafani with his kill. Inters holds down the crossfire. Keto with 1 to return, but Inters still on the site. Spots him out with his eagle. Gets stalled for backup. Does not stay alive though. 3 on 2 still for the favor.
Shiro with the NWP, surely going to pre-aim up to Tizian's position. At least that smoke goes down to get a bit of cover and they can get the bomb plan in.
Advantage Gambit. Nade trying to change that. Dishing out a tiny amount of damage though. Nothing major taken away. Shiro ready with util, switching out to the AK and everything. We have got a player pushing up towards window itself. Tizian gonna hire back. Keto in for close. Axel takes him down. It's Tizian versus 3, and Axel just swings for his easy kill. That's now Gambit back in the lead once again.
And that was the NAF peak, as they say, where he knows what is going on there, because Shiro gets flashed and he hears the shot, so he knows the AWP is probably posted on angle there. What happens from then? He can jump over and peek back in, slow walking to that right-hand side, allowing himself to have the peeker's advantage. That is a beautiful sequence, read to absolute perfection.
Look at the smile on Hobbit as well. He's chuffed with that round. So chuffed. And they've got every reason to be happy with the state that they've played in so far. Impressive game, even though Big are trailing behind, even though things have been much closer compared to the last map, compared to Ancient. Gambit are still in the lead though, and Big need to change that soon. This will not be the round to do so.
And when we have a look at how Gambit have performed on the CT side of Dust 2, 6 rounds against Enterprise, 4 rounds against Fiend, they're looking to stretch that by definitely a further margin.
Walks in, smokes down, flashes in from Searson. Trying to blind off the CT side, at least trying to just respond to their utility, try and bait in some more. So they will do with the Incendiary up first. Minute and 10. Just going to wait for the hit.
Yeah, that early flash not popping through. Not into the right position. Big. It looks as if they're going to split themselves up into this B site. Tabson can put some nades onto the cross out to CT spawn, try and make it more difficult for Nafani to do anything. It's going to come down to the 2 B anchors, though, to defend.
Now the smoke in from the CT side at least suppresses from the mid doors. Thompson head seen, but he wins out the fight against Nafani. Puts that pistol to great use to smoke down the left and right, keep him covered as well. Try and flash his teammates into the B exit. You got a player at car, player back to black. Inters holds on to only one frag. Hobbit can get one of his own, but needs to double up and he can't do it. 2v2. Gambit a very far away position from the site. They will have Shiro getting up to this angle. Tabson gets given the bomb for the plant.
Yeah, Shiro's playing this incredibly passive, playing it deep out from CT spawn. He's got Axile to work with, and they've got a lot of nades to work with. That Incendiary and smoke could be massive.
One coming in from CT, one coming in from tunnels. Axile slows down the round. So does Shiro, but Game gets aggressive and he punished for it. AK in for Tabson, spotted both individuals. Tagged up Shiro, Molotov in to drive him away from the site. He knows that Shiro's close. He's the gun barrel, but Axile swings alongside him to bail out his teammate and get the round together. They get the half together for Gambit.
That's ballsy. And really for Big, if you want to try and make that aggressive play, you have to peek together. You can't just allow Gabe to walk through the mid doors and have Tabson sitting there passively on the side, because it just means for the AWP, it's an easy connection. He's forcing out that mistake, and then they can just combine together. Tabson struggling in that 1v2, the way they peek on each other's contact, and that was a round that, even though there's not a lot around it and it's only an eco, that could have been so much more. That could have been a round winner.
And if they had won that round as well, that'd be massive for Big. Equalize once again, try and take the half away from Gambit. Of course, they can't achieve that second option. Shot missed from Searson. Shiro going to re-peek it. Clear out all the mid-presence from the T-side line. Searson will go for a reface, but the CTs have also vacated it themselves, setting up for their standard aggressive plays. Nafani in particular towards lower tunnels. Move up to upper, recognize nobody's here. Get ready for the A hit. The stack-up should be in for Gambit.
And we never used to see a lot of info plays into the upper tunnels. Now it's quite frequent, and we've seen how much of a detriment that's been to the map control being gained by Big, just being pushed in. They've got no idea that Nafani's playing in lowers.
Nice forward, he's going to hear the footsteps. Shiro will get caught off by the flashbang. Comes down to the defensive line of Gambit, see how far they can go. The ace sight, Nafani doesn't do anything in tons though. Picked up by Keto, great headshot.
Oh, flash over the top, doesn't actually blind them off at all, and it allows Keto to follow up with the entry. Shiro needs a trade back.
Or peaks in the perfect timing as Keto went for the swing. All-important shot that might buy Gambit a chance, but now he needs to provide support from mid. They've only got Inters on the B site and he's all alone. They smoke off that position, Searson giving his own sniper set in towards the doorways. And Inters is just going to wait with bated breath to receive on the B hit.
He's got to try and get a multi-frag, and even if he puts this Incendiary down, he could try and slow the round.
Does put it up ahead of that smoke. Molotov back to respond from the T-side line. Counter smokes onto the doors will suppress the rotations. Inters, flashbang turned away from nades, continue coming in to close range positions. Tizian's footsteps heard closed. Fourth player a car, can't turn to his right. Tizian gets the trade.
Oh, Hobbit deals with the AWPer. They don't know that Shiro's aggressed so far forward.
Spots the planter as well, gets his double up. On for the triple, does not quite land it, but he gets a second face and lets Tizian. The 5-7 will be enough, and Gambit will have enough. 9 rounds to close out the half for the Russian side. Big gave him a run for their money, but Gambit still looked like the team to beat.
I'd have to go back and look at that round in the demo, Jane, just figure out what happened there, because Searson was playing mid-doors, and it looked as if he was holding that CT spawn angle for such a long time. I think that when that wraparound play came from Hobbit, it drew the attention over. Hobbit gets that kill. They have no idea that Shiro's aggressed as far forward as possible, so they're not thinking we've got to plant safe. They're trying to plant open, and it just means as soon as that window peek comes in, that bomb's going to get denied.
Gambit looked fantastic on their CT half of things. They transitioned to the T side where things could get even scarier. What's scary is the amount of time that Groove's been involved in Counter-Strike since 2003. It's when you were born, Dweg.
I wish. I'd be even younger.
3 rounds to make up for Big, and the pistol conversions could be enough to get it together. They have done early damage in the long house as Gambit stack their way up and look towards the A play.
Yeah, Big just fall off in the contact pretty much straight away. They see that util coming out over the top. They want to play it quite defensive. Up onto the A side, Tizian's going to just be the info player, and it seems as if they want to run Bushiro.
USP spots them, taps, does no damage. But very little from the Gambit side. Tizian on 93 points of health, so he's more than fine with what he just gained out of that one. Continuing to spot the T-side players as well. Might draw some attention back into the ace site if only the commitment was not on from Gambit. They could have pulled a fake. Spokes to cross. Gade and Tabson down at CT. One player up on top of short will dive down to try and join them. Hobbit leans in. Keto still up there. Player on the back of the site, not spotted. The jump face around, and still the Glock connects the headshot, stabilizing the accuracy and gaining the advantage, drawing first blood. Is there any more in the tank for Hobbit? Is there anything more in it for his teammates? The elevator boost has 3 players that can go up there. Bobby has to commit, and CSGO comes up with 2 frags. Shiro needs to try and bail out. Axel and Inters are falling. It's a 3 versus 3, and Hobbit suppressed to the site. Bomb drop, now 2 players up along all they have left.
They can't lurk anymore. They've got to start pushing forward, and Big are expecting an over-rotation. They're going quite passive, trying to see if they can defend it out, because they know there's no smoke to cross. Shiro now in the 1v3.
Would have thought they would have stormed the site, given how the bomb's been dropped, and maybe they didn't see it. Either way, it's Shiro versus them all. Tapping on, no smoke to cross, just got to jump, bunny hop, trying to avoid the bullets as best as possible, but tagged to 13 now. Stuck behind Car, trying to make it a bit harder to hit with the USPs. Actually, not even more damage, but can't find the picks against them. Finally, Tabson's going to fall. That's 1 he requires, but out of 3, there's plenty more to do. Takes that bomb. Gade's going to go for the jump face, try to tap him. Shiro gets behind the short boxes. Here they come. Gade headshot not connected. He gets his kill together, and Big have the pistol round.
That's very clever to the way that Big played that there, Jay. They realise 3v2, we've dealt with all the A-site players. We know that that bomb's being dropped, and they're going to just be lurking. They're going to try and see if they can play the post plan. That doesn't happen. So, okay, let's give them the respect, because we know if they cross long, they're going to have a difficult time. They've already used their cross smokes. So let's just play passive. Let's wait for them to cross in dry. The only problem is they give too much respect in that a bomb plant goes down. That's an extra money cash injection.
No major cash output for Gambit in this round. They'll buy the scout for Nafani, sure. Pistols in for the eco bases. They want to get guns out early thanks to that bomb plant bonus. Trying to deny Big on the lead. The scout be scout action towards mid. See Searson winning it out. Done damage to Nafani in this one. Passing that back up to Shiro as a result. Tizian takes his damage. Turns still to the HP advantage for Big.
Yeah, Gambit don't really like force buying on T sides of Dust 2 when they get the bomb down in the pistol but lose the round. We've seen it a couple of times over the course of this event. Try and see if they can just do some further economical damage. No one on A directly. The closest player is Searson up from Car.
Set and ready with scout in hand. Shiro looks back. Searson might challenge him directly here. Nades on. Oh, that's quite heavy damage. Searson even lands a collateral. Further nades on to Shiro and Axel. They've been ripped apart in this one. Eco pistols and a scout out. Searson looking for a bit more. Can't land his 3rd frag. He's close towards it anyway. Axel actually gets punishment for it, but Tabson's there to clean house. Finds his 1st. Should find his 2nd soon. See if the Deagle can find anything in this one, but Axel should locked out of the round.
Yeah, well placed with the utility usage is all important there from Big. The way that HG comes through from Tabson on rotate in from CT spawn, puts it down in the right position, and then the scout is able to back him up. Searson getting in with a couple of kills. Axel just waiting for an overextension, waiting for one of these players to just start aggressing forward. It's not really happening. We'll eventually need to start moving out, make sure that he falls, because there's no point holding on to this Deagle at all.
Tabson will eventually make him drop down towards that short position, grab the automatic weapon as well, upgrades the standard. And the Eco dealt with for the Gambit side. Big now have their 8th, and there is a gun round up to play for. This is where things pick up the pace, pick up the slacks for the Gambit side, if you will. Rifles should be able to beat out the gun buy for Big. They play this as a bonus round. Indeed, there's AKs across the board.
Some good long spawns coming through means that Hobbit's going to be able to get the AWP, look for that first contact, even being flashed and smoked. Getting close, but not quite the connection.
A little bit late to that shot. Inters Now downstairs into the tunnels to try to hunt for another player on another shot. And the CT player across so effectively and efficiently. Without the noise for Shiro, this one continuously struggles here on Dust 2. Taps forward, flashes in. They're not going to peek ahead of it for the CT side. It's generally passive from Gambit. They're trying to bait them to try and do so.
Yeah, Axile's been playing a lot of this slow walk aggression out from the hut position or longhouse, just waiting to see if any of the CTs will just overextend themselves for the moment. Knowing that that long position's been taken by the CTs after Hobbit misses that first shot and sees the counter utility coming through big. 1 round away from trying to tie up the scoreline. Very silent across the board, and now Gambit can start setting themselves up for a mid-play.
Flashes in the mid doors, smokes have gone down as standards. Counter mollies are in from the CT side, but same thing for Hobbit. We'll drive him away from the boost spot. Keto leans in, SMG in the cubby corner, also gets flashed forward. Hobbit can get that 1 kill with assistance from the Farney. Frag found to start off for the T-side line. The scout, the CSG connects 1, not quite the second. B's overwhelmed. Tabson finds 1 trade, but it'll still be 4v3 for Gambit.
Oh, this round's done. There's no way Big are going to go for this. Just back off and save. You've got a couple of long players. You've got some decent weaponry around you. And notice, too, that positioning that comes out from Hobbit into the mid doors, Jay. He hugs himself in the corner, so as soon as they flash, he's not blinded at all. He can just peek off it.
You are right about the call here for Big to hold on to the weapons. The FAMASas, the SMG will stay in for round 19. Round 18 goes the way of Gambit. A 10th to their board and lead maintained and defended. Extended to 2 on the difference here. But Hobbit wants a bit more than just the lead. He wants to get the exit. Tabson caught off guard with his head turned away. Another good trade for the T's, and it looks like Gaden and Tizian were the only players left alive here. 1 at Suicide, 1 at the Longhouse. No one able to challenge either of those positions here from Gambit. But again, they're fine with that. First gun round goes their way.
I'm not really sure why we saw an overextension there from Tabson. They had some pretty tight angles that they weren't going to get exposed from, out from long and from that Suicide area. Just maybe looking for too much there, gets punished. Means only 2 weapons are getting saved into that next round. The economy overall looks okay. Definitely nothing perfect in for the big side. Gambit, they're keeping pace, and this is one of the differences that we saw on Dust 2 previously, is they weren't really keeping pace.
No, they were struggling quite a lot, actually. Were able to catch up at certain points, try and defend or take deficits back to evens. Never able to gain leads here, so for Gambit, it's already positive signs. The first shot from Shiro is connected to Tizian already, however, and that's an even better sign for them. Straight wallbang headshot through the mid doors. Gambit can walk forward for it, out towards long control.
Yeah, Big had a perfect opportunity of force buying here. They've opted against it. They did the same on Ancient. Try and see if they can retake some of this long position.
Smoke in, but it lands a little bit too late. Shiro with his kill. Axile extends, sees 2 more. The AWP shot misses back, but Shiro turns to the pistol, and Tabson does not last long. Keto, 1v4, Deagle in hand. Whichever side they go to, they're going to have pretty much on lock. The kill should come in regardless. Spots that 1 player crossing. They may have seen him back. But yeah, not much to work with here in this round for Big. They were trying to keep their economy line at a decent level so they can rebuy back into round 19. And here they come. The AUGs, the M4s out for the CT side.
Now, Tabson or Tizian can drop over an AWP over to Sirison. He can't by himself, so if they do want to get that big ring forward, there is definitely potential there. Oh,
Wonderful shot.
Shiro had a slow start here to Dust 2. Seems as if he's back. Back and kicking.
He's back in the game. The right time to do so as well, Gambit. Feeling the pressure of Big, still knocking on their front doors, still bearing down upon them with the deficit that is still closing. Gambit trying to extend it back to 3 rounds on the lead for now. Will it go any further? Execution set into the B site. You've got the AUG of Keto watching already for him. Flashbang completely evaded. Spray onto 2. Sure with a responsive. Gade still close at the stack position. You'll see more utility coming in for him. Smokes down. Ahead of the game. Looking for the trades back in the hole. Back to 3 versus 2. Making it 1. Hobbit with his 1 trade out towards mid will be the only trade that they find out outside of the site itself. He's got a hell of a task to bring this round back.
Contact BXE coming through there from Gambit, and even with Hobbit being able to draw one of those rotations away, they weren't able to trade out that anchor. Gade getting away with a beautiful double, Hobbit being seen. And Gade, over the course of this event, even though statistically, I don't think he's had the best of performances, with some of his anchor holds on CT side, he's actually been delivering in quite a big way. And you could feel as if the reason why they've added him to the team and the sort of role that he's being applied to.
Sat, not quite the top fragger of the server right now. That's Tabson for his own part, at least for Big. Trying to work in some decency for the Big side as well. The double ops will come in for Searson and Keto. Gade rocking the M4. Tizian on the AK. Get a little out for Axel. Again, shows the limitations that Gambit are taking in their economy game at this moment. Flashes will go over. Blind off Searson for the time being. Some players in to try getting the longhouse position. They won't extend too far forward with it though.
Yeah, they know where both of the AWPs are playing from. Out for mid and out to long. Nefani now starting a walk-up. It all just comes down to trying to see if he can create a timing, see if he can catch Tabson aggressing far forward. Tabson actually just leaving a flash down towards that ramp position.
I'd be intending to use it. Leave it for a teammate to use, perhaps. Minute and 10. Decision's not quite obvious. Both him and for the Gambit side. They're stacked up on short, still 2 players away from the main force. A minute to go.
It does feel as if it's going to be that split into the A site with that late lurk from Axel out from the longhouse. Gade got to be careful. He doesn't get caught just rotating off from mid-doors.
Inters can make his way ahead of that smoke. Molotov's come back for the CT side and finally dives down towards CT. He's gone right past one though, and Gade can adjust. Get his shot in, try to grab that AK, but Inters now acts for mid. Hobbit taking damage. Tabson getting back behind the smoke himself alongside one Searson. With to go ahead and join him is Tizian, the man that falls towards long. Axel boosted up, waiting for the wraparounds, and with that kill, that might be enough for Big to throw in the towel again. 4 versus 3, Gambit have the sight.
This round is done. Inters with the off angle in from short. Big got so confused in that round. They don't know what's going on. So first of all, you've got the mid player of Inters that comes out with the swing. Nefani drops down into CT. He doesn't find anything. Gade looking for that weapon, falls immediately. And they think to themselves, okay, it's a fake short exie. They're going mid to B. No, they're not at all. They're actually going into the A site, and things just get all fastled through. Axel's getting boosted up to that long position, and Tizian's just running through. They think it's B. He's got no idea that there's a long player, no idea that they're going back to A.
It's a fast responsive from Gambit to that 9th round for Big. Taken right back. Full control for them. No exits against the last 3 players of the CT side, so they do have a basis to work from now. How far will it continue? Still 3 rounds separate the 2 squads. Tactical pause was called here. I imagine it was probably Big that made that decision. Still trailing, and their tournament lives are on the line here. Gambit are only a few rounds away from victory on Dust 2.
And in the last 3 months, Hobbit is the 2nd worst rated player for Gambit on Dust 2, and he's putting on such a great showing. He's really leading by example. He's putting a lot of frags up. He's getting a lot of trade kills. Some of his lurk attempts are creating a lot of space. He's up there at 20 kills and 14 deaths. Big. There was a very good portion of this game, probably towards the tail end of that first half, or maybe in towards the middle, where it looked like they were starting to really gain some control. Now you look at it and you think, geez, down by 3, 9-12, money not great. Even going into the next rifle, we've got an SMG.
Much like how they entered the latest stages of Ancient, Gambit start to get in confidence. Big start to get worried. It's Keto with the frag. Kicks things off on Nefani. Now tunnels on that peak with the AWP. Big start for them.
Yeah, just that aggression coming through. Not hyper-aggression at all. Just getting in for a frag, falling back, playing the numbers game. Keto waiting for that notch smoke to go down, waiting as soon as he hears that to take the shot.
Here's the footstep instead, not the notch smoke. Does bait him in, though. Counter flash as well. Well-placed utility there from Big. Away as Gambit start to walk in to short position. Hobbit with the bomb. Going to pass that off to a team, maybe. The entry man. Utility thrown out. They did make noise with that bomb. They're going to commit towards the A site anyway, so information that's pretty much going to be useless to Big. They know what's happening. One player dive down towards CT. Axile covered off by Tabson. He's completely blinded by Shiro's flashbang. Keto can also chime in as well. Tabson gets a double up. Shiro desperate. He does find 2 picks with a Molotov burning, but where is the bomb? It's not on his back. It's actually back towards elbow, so he's got to go ahead and retreat back to position. He's hunting for a 3rd pick.
He's just trying to see if he can catch one of the CT sleeping on rotation. Might be able to just get that bomb down, plant for short, and just get the extra money.
Making a ton of noise. I know exactly where he is. Tap it once, smoke seen, scope heard. Tap the 2nd time, look towards long, look towards CT. They're going to wait. They're going to go for the retake.
Get that bomb down, have that cash injection, and now it comes down to the 1v3.
Here they come. Shiro with his 3rd frag. He's on for the ace in this clutch. Turned away from drop down towards CT. Looks back over at elbow. Back still turned, player on site. Spotted with the scope. It's in the open. He's waiting, tapped once. Goes for the jumping nose scope, that's not going to work out. He can't catch TZN either. They're on a 10-second defuse though. He's got time. He's missing his shots though. He needs to land one desperately here. Needs to get Tizzy. No! It's desperate moves from Shiro. And it doesn't work out as Big will find the 10th.
That's unfortunate they're in for Shiro. Neither player with a kit in that situation for Big, so they've got to hold the 10-second defuse, and they're just hoping Big and that no-scope does not come through. And Keto all started in from him, and even in that round, you look at the way that's a 1v5. They're able to get another 3 picks and a bomb plan. Gambit got away with so much in a 1v5 there.
And 2 rounds separate them. Big still standing. 12-10, however, Gambit still hold the lead. For now, at least. Will that last? AK setting the defaults, limited buyback for the Gambit side. The bomb plant is definitely helping him with that. But Galil's still in for Nafani. Big have their AWP set for Searson all the way on shore.
Surely they don't peek it dry. Has to be a molly, and yeah, Searson's going to get forced back. Hold the angle just for long enough to see if there is a peak that comes off. He is going to burn down to 68.
Slight HP advantage for Gambit as a result of that. Team the default as they walk forward to a pretty open short position. It does mean that Searson's repositioned out towards long, however. Will they detect that, or will they believe that he's on ramp is the big question. Third man brigade putting a lot of emphasis on this A site for Gambit. Big will do the same.
They're starting to pass some nades between one another. Tabson's got another idea of putting that incendiary down. The issue is, what happens if Gambit cancel and go in for a mid to be split?
Oh, accounting for that particular front. They haven't really gone for that so much so in this map up. Nade on. Lovely damage being done. Hobbit to 51. But more players taking tank damage of their own right. Searson shots onto Nafani. Flashbang ahead of the corner. Tabson will not peek, neither will Gade. Searson gets a counter flash, and finally Tabson peeks in, but now it comes down to this Goose player. Hobbit, he's going to wait, he's going to go for the plant, and Gade's going to just play patient, drop that bomb even deeper into the site. The teams are going to fight for this, and Taxar's the only player to get a trade. Inters drops in turn, the bomb's out in the open, he's so far away from it. He does find a second pick, but he's got to hold on to the AK. Big are bringing this back.
It comes down to the gamble stack. There is a lot of players down there on A, and for Gambit, even though they do decently with some of those entry kills, they do all right with the trading game, you've got 4 at A, and you're always going to struggle to open up that bomb side. What a great call that was for Big to just get as many players up there in ramp as possible, and they all just peek off one another really well. Searson, even with the AWP, is able to strike before they even start walking through to elbow.
Guns can't come out for Gambit in this next round. Tactical pause taken. Deep into the eyes of Groove and listen to his Jalessa tones, what he might be saying to the Gambit side. Great play from Gade as well to lock down that position, and really was the difference maker at the perfect timing. To check all their corners for Gambit. That's what cost them that round. And they're going to force it into this round, actually. Hold on. This might get interesting.
Yeah, the loss bonus was only 1,900 going into this round, so it kind of put them in a double eco status, so they're going to buy it in. Try and see if they can catch Big off guard. Searson with the AWP peeking down to that suicide angle before. Gambit looking to try and see if they can take some long control.
Tizzy and Tabson to defeat Nafani. First man out, spotted the one player on the shoulder bait. Deagle doesn't connect his shot. Axel does though. Orb can't respond. Tabson can.
Getting into the pit of Shiro, continuing to try and do as much damage in as possible. Tabson and Searson are incredibly low. This does not look healthy for the A players.
Especially when you consider the pistols in play. These are going to be easy picks against them. Hobbit getting up first. Spots them, taps up, sees the player towards mid. Keto with one good trade back. Searson's head gets popped as Inters finds Keto elsewhere. It's a 3v1 favor Gambit. Gade's so far out of all this action, and they might have just forced it out with the force buy rounds.
And should we bring up the topic again of how many times Big have lost to force buys and half buys? This is a round. Where are the rifles? There aren't any, right? It's so limited. You've got the AK in for Axel. You've got the Scout in for Shiro. It's pistols for the rest of them.
What's the tally up to now for Big?
Oh, don't even get me a tally going. It's too many. I've run out of paper.
He's not joking on that front. 13 to the board of Gambit.
And that wrecks the economy too for Big. That is the difference maker. And just the confidence. Hobbit going up close. When you've got a Tech 9 against low HP players in that sort of distance, you're going to just rip through.
The confidence as well for him to go for that kind of a peek. He's a veteran, knows what he's doing. Just did that to perfection. Wonderfully played. All the way around the outside of the site. And you're right about those money line amounts for Big. The 1M4 that they saved in from Gate is going to be their best weapon. $1,900 loss bonus as well. It's kind of double eco to a certain extent. Yeah, they're going to have to force it here. All chips on the table. This could be Gambit on map and match and semi-final points. Unless Big pull off a miracle or unless they take us to OT.
I think we have to say, go big or go home right here for the German side, because this is a game breaker. This round, they're forcing it down. Tizian didn't have money. Tabson the same. They've got to force buy it up. And Gambit, if they can realize the extent of the damage they've done to the economy, them converting round 25 could put them up 15-11. And this is just the notch smoke being lined up by Shiro.
I love the smoke. It's so intelligent.
If it lands. If it doesn't land, it's like,
oh, it landed this time, so it is intelligent indeed. Finally can start walking alongside teammates here. No one's going to watch it from the mid position for Big, so they'll be happy to sit back in the passive angles, wait for Gambit to take contact. But surely they have to make a play here, no?
You'd imagine so. Gambit have not put a lot of emphasis over to this B site in a while, and I guess it could allow mid-round for Keto to start making an info play, aggress forward, try and see if he's able to get some map control. Hobbit just waiting for some of these nades, and Big, they're starting to run out of the utility.
Bait in pretty well. Nades up, doing damage. SMGs. Scout out for Searson. Connects to the head and Nafani. All-important pick. Now Shiro's AWP versus that. Scout will keep his head tucked away. Still spotted. Axel and Inters get those kills together. Regardless, turn around. The sandwich in from Axel's flank will find Searson the same. Keto and Cade, last two players remaining. They can line up, and Hobbit will connect both of those picks. 14-11. Gambit. 2 to go before Big will be out of the V4 Future Sports Festival. And it's got to be an eco. They have to play for OT.
And they can't force buy here. And it really felt in that round like there was something to give. When that first pick comes through from the scout, the issue was Tizian gets pushed forward out from Longhouse. And that is where we see Axel striking through. He catches him off, he aggresses forward, and look at how much that means to Nafani.
USP set in. A hard stack in towards the tunnel's position. Into the spoiler, taps forward. Sees what's going on and retreats right back into spawn. Rejoin his teammates if possible, recognizing there might be all 5 players out there. He's going to hear plenty of footsteps, most certainly. AWP Ashura might be in a bit of an awkward spot, so go ahead and join your teammates, mate. Yeah, we'll be able to escape, it's fine. Get to the bomb site, bomb down, and now just a case of picking apart all the CT players. Keto first to fall. Tabs in seconds. Around the corner, Inters and Shiro just locking down a crossfire. Triple up for Shiro. And Tizian dealt with by the Mac 10 and Afani. 15-11. Map match semi-final point for Gambit. 4 for Big on the comeback. 1 final tactical called. It's do or die.
And this has got to be one of the best performances we've seen from Shiro an entire event so far. He has led with crazy numbers. Coming into the game today, Jay, we saw that he's the highest rated player in this event. Positive 71 KD, an average of a 1.60 rating with 82 AWP kills. And he's extended that even further in map 1 and map 2.
And I think as well, he was very slow to start earlier on during this map. He was just sat there like on 4 kills. Not doing much. Then he just found some inspiration or something. I don't know. For Gambit, whatever it is, it's led to this position. 3rd tactical called in by Big. Maybe the final tactical called in by Big. They've got one in the back pocket for OT, but the concern is getting to OT right now.
And they need someone to create an opportunity. And I'm probably looking at either Searson or Tabson of creating that chance. Shiro waiting for an overly aggressive play towards that short position. Big playing 2 out from B in the early round. Searson's aggressed short with the AWP.
Kane and Keto on that B defensive. Pretty aggressive towards the tunnel's entrance. Nobody's there to receive them. It's Inters. Sat back for now. AWP looking in for Shiro. Still looking towards that cross. Gambit happy to take this one slow.
And Afani waiting to get that molly down to the short position, try and see if they can force back Searson if he does continue to stay aggressively. It just feels as if Gambit just slowing this round down completely, trying to see if they could draw the util, draw an overpeak, because for Big, they're getting desperate at this point. They're down by 4. They need to make a play.
Minute on the clock. Afani. Rather than not smoke, has the AWP right behind him. There's no one directively in mid for Big. They've got Tabs from the closest player in CT. Probably gets smoked off of this position. Yep, Shiro puts it up. Counter nade is going to be a little bit off position. It does a tiny amount of damage. Sets up the split now for Gambit. 40 seconds.
Okay, aggressive forward. Nafani catches the timing, the opening man advantage, and now they've got the opportunity of trying to split into that B side. At least Tabson gets a trade back with the spam in the smoke.
Yeah, blind kill, but it's all important. It's even standing. And that might drive Gambit into the A site. The bomb's still on short. Hobbit's going to go down towards mid, so no. They do have their heart set towards B. And Keto suddenly becomes the most important man in the world for Big. Shiro scoping in. Getting out of dodge, escapes the ire of Tabson. Keto with his first and his second. Not quite the triple. Axel trades it, but it's an advantage, and Tabson's going to capitalize on that. Get his pick to get a tag up Shiro as well. The 1v3 for the star AWPer, and no time left on the clock. He will find the exit, but Gambit stay alive.
And that was a pretty good call coming through from Gambit. They realized that Gate is the B player, and that they've caught Tabson in a position where he can't aggress forward out from CT. So read the information that there's only one player back on B. They think to themselves, there's one anchor. We're going to be able to overwhelm the bomb side. And Keto has such a sick hold with the AUG.
Big's final lifeline. And Keto held it all in the palm of his hands. 12 to the board. And another tactical. The final tactical for Big called in here. Kind of necessary to do so at this point, when you think.
Yeah, for sure. This is where pressure's starting to build, and for Big, just knowing that that round came down to an individual play, very similar to how Ancient came down to a few of those rounds where it felt as if individuals were really stepping up. Keto, we saw what he was able to do with that AWP down on that A anchor hold, and this time around playing B and getting at least one round closer. It's one step at a time.
Single AWP's out. Keto rocking the UMP. But despite Big's victory, it's still limited on the buy state here. Smokes up. Nafani, AK in to the longhouse, having his eyes set ahead of that smoke. Is Tizian that finds that opening frag. Incendiary's ahead of the smoke. I think it might have been extinguished by it. Gade also peeks out, finds Axel, and this round is falling apart now for the T side.
And they wanted to brute force some of those fights by pushing through the re-smoke out from the longhouse, and even with the flashes over the top, we see the way the Big are just playing anti-flash, turning away from them and striking back into action. Now Hobbit's trying to see if he can get some pace down from mid.
Shiro scoped in, spots one, but doesn't get the shot towards the man. He backs away at that crack angle. The AK instead from Hobbit, flash forward. He gets his trade. Tabson taken to Isengard as Hobbit continues his journey there. Searson trying to derail that, but no. Missing that shot tag to 22 instead. AWP still focused on that elbow angle. Can't see the man. Inters gets a trade. It's a 3v3. Big survival. May fall apart. Hobbit's got to sight. Searson has no idea. And the whole round tips on his head as Gambit are within touching distance. Now that bomb's crossed. Gades missed it. Dizzy gets caught. 1v3 and Shiro will close it out. Gambit will take their rightful place in the grand finals of the V4 Future Sports Festival.
And just put yourself in their shoes for a moment. 3v5. They brute force their way out from Longhouse. They don't find any success. Hobbit's trying to create an opportunity. They flash over, and as soon as they catch off Tabson, everything starts going well. The B side's open, frags are being forced, so many aggressive plays, and Big, they bottle it at the end.
And so many mistakes in that last round as well. Gay out towards the mid door, looked away as the bomb was thrown over, so he could have caught crucial information, maybe catch a trade, do something in that regard. But like you mentioned, a 5 versus 3, you don't lose that by the basis of how Gambit had played. Yes, they had some great positional movements, but there was mistakes made from Big the whole way through.
Yeah, and that can be the difference maker sometimes, is those high pressure situations, brooding out those mistakes. And for Gambit, they get it done in 2. This was such a turnaround from the Dust 2 that we saw from them earlier on into the event.
Absolutely, and definitely an improvement to what we wanted to see from them. They tried to force Dust 2 into the map pool. They picked it time and time again. Always came out unsuccessful for them. So to see them actually win against a tier 1 team like a Big on this map, that's pretty massive for them given how they've struggled with it so far.
And it may show that they're comfortable playing the higher end teams when when they play a team like a Fiend or an Enterprise that aren't there at the tier 1 level. They don't get to watch as many games from them. It could be more difficult to try and get those information plays. Here on Dust 2, against the tactical heavy side of Big, they come through.
I'm disappointed though that Big didn't win this map because I felt like that Dust 2 is their home domain. I do feel like, yes, there was some incredible performances from Shiro, but the team just didn't feel like they were on for it to me today.
And again, do we go back to the head-to-head? Yes, it was on the 11th of May last year. In his semi-final again, Gambit get the 2-0. They do the same again.
They do that indeed, and I guess the NKJ will have to rethink exactly what he says about his AWPers and how good they truly are at this particular stage. Big crash out in the semi-finals. They do make top 4, but Gambit move forward to the grand finals. It's back to Banks and the boys on the desk.
It was all a dream. Big just fell for Gambit's memes, pretending they couldn't play Dust 2 all tournament long, just to come through when it mattered and take the win. No, all jokes aside, it was a fight on their hands, but Gambit this time, the right players showed up. Playing Dust 2 obviously helped them a fair amount when it comes to this, but this one's going to sting for Big.
Yeah, I mean, Gambit making a statement on both Ancient and Dust 2. And Ancient, just saying that how dominant they are on this map. It's like a key part of that map pool and showing that, okay, you might be like a top team in the world, but you can't really challenge us on this map. And then moving on to Dust 2, they're showing us that, well, they fixed their mistakes finally, and then now they're here on Dust 2, being able to take these wins. And I think going into the grand final, which is the best of 5, and Dust 2 is a possibility there, it's a good thing that they can finally win on this.
Yeah, I think also for Gambit, it's what you were expecting to see from them in this tournament, right? Dominant on their own map pick, that's a weakness for the opponent. And then also just winning your opponent's map pick in a bit of a more, of course, grinding manner, right? Like bigger no slouches on Dust 2. And it's a game where Gambit lost both pistols. Like, sure, in the first half, they managed to win the all-important second round and still get some early momentum. But yeah, this was probably the most intense map of the tournament so far. I mean, so many clutches, post plans, or just rounds that go, late round, and there's like chaos, misdirection going left and right. I mean, the final round of the game shows it all, really. And I think you could probably tell for Big just a bit too much chaos in comms, right? Because you're in a 5v3 situation. You don't need to overreact to anything, really, right? Like, just